one of his largest canvases to date.
This mural has been in the works for the last 4 years, and I've been designing it according to the way the sun and the sunlight and shadows hit the wall on the day of the spring equinox. So there's the topical mural that you're going to see annually, or year-round I should say, but then once a year it will become a destination where people can see it activate and tell a sub-narrative. And that narrative is referencing a lot of LA landmarks and a lot of LA history.
Vargas, who grew up in Boyle Heights, is known for his portraits and street art around the city. He's done over 800 portraits and is best known for his mural masterpiece, Our Lady of Downtown LA, a 4-story mural on Spring Street. Vargas says she rises from the ground painted in values of black and white as a nod to the historic architecture of downtown Los Angeles. Other murals include Can't Stop of legendary Suicidal Tendencies frontman Mike Muir, and his Warrior Odyssey mural of skateboard icon and Z-Boy legend Tony Alva for the Kinney Hotel in Venice. He sees LA as the roots of self and rebirth of a neglected historic core.
My goal is not necessarily to blanket the city in murals as much as it's putting up the right mural with the right message at the right time and in the right location for enough people to see it and digest it.
And this current piece of art definitely does just that. This 60,000 square foot mural shares the historic stories of the indigenous Tongva Indians, the LA River, and much more. As a gesture to the city's first settlers, he invited the Gabrielino Tongva tribal chairman, Bernie Acuna, to bless the site.
It's on the decline, and that's why the history of the tribe is so important, and the mural is so important. As generations go on, the blood gets more and more diluted.
What's fascinating about Robert's work is he doesn't use grids, projections, or stencils. In fact, all his work is freehand with a brush. And a little inside scoop about the mural behind me, well, the girl on that wall was actually in the lift with him while he was painting.
It's really about developing a relationship with the wall and just kind of feeling it as you move along.
These days, Vargas spends most of his time suspended above traffic, brushing and painting the wall. A wall once completed that will help merge both the past and present together in one moment. In downtown Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
You may not know the secret views of the LA River located just off the beaten path. Gil Reyes goes on an exclusive river walking tour for a different experience from LA's east side.
Here's a glimpse of the hidden wilderness just a stone's throw from downtown. This is the somewhat obscure northeast side of the LA River, the Glassell Park side. To get there, we'll need our tour guide, Anthea Raymond, and her 2 LA River corgis.
We're at the Bowtie parcel. It's a parcel of land owned by the California State Parks, and it was once part of the train infrastructure that was all here, but now it's a place where we have campfires, where we have art projects.
We also have our trusty corgis, Kasha and Chase, leading the way to a secluded, narrow opening just below the Bowtie parcel. Though there's a lot of concrete along the banks for flood control, there are also surprisingly scenic views. Here, we catch our first glimpse of the river and walk further down.
We're in the Glendale Narrows, left bank, Glassell Park side. In the summer, you'd look out and see kayaks. This is part of the kayaking section of the river. It's also the part of the river where underneath is cobblestones rather than concrete. So you get tons of natural stuff here like trees, wildlife, birds, sometimes the coyotes and other animals as well, like these guys too, down here in the riverbed. You know, it's a special place, it's a cooler place, it's much more temperate than you'd find even just up the concrete banks here.
Sitting here along the banks, we can also see the other, more visited side of the river, the Frogtown side, also known as the Elysian Valley. It's a popular bike path lures most of the river's visitors.
We're of course looking across the river at the bike path right now, but the bike path has been a great way to introduce people to the LA River. People kind of come through here and get their first taste of the river and what it's like sometimes. And you mentioned the Spoke Bicycle Cafe that's now able to be supported by all the traffic along the bike path. People biking in and enjoying some of the parks as well.
From our side, we can also see the train pass by and how it contrasts with the views of the 2 freeway, the river, and all the vegetation surrounding it. You can also imagine the possibilities as the city plans to remove much of the concrete to provide more recreational activities along 11 miles.
It's just a fabulous mixture that makes this section of river in particular just so dynamic and unique.
And we are in the city of Los Angeles, even though sometimes you lose yourself in the nature and think you may be somewhere else.
Well, you can't help but be reminded occasionally here, and it's fun to sort of meditate on that balance, you know, nature and not so nature.
So that's the short version of Anthea's 2-hour walking tour. All that's left is to thank her and thank the LA River Corgis with some treats. And maybe take a photo while I'm here.
As picturesque as these images may be, you can't really appreciate this place until you're actually here. The sights, the sounds, the smells, the total atmosphere of this place, the LA River. Reporting from the less explored Glassell Parkside, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
All the proceeds from the walking tour benefit the nonprofit LA River Expeditions. More info can be found on Twitter at #LARiverCorgis. Well, it offers a blend of cultural and educational learning while providing a place to connect with nature. Rasha Goel has more on a garden that's become an LA landmark.
I'm at one of my favorite places in the San Fernando Valley, the Japanese Gardens. Now, this place is a delight to all of your senses. I'm so excited to share some fun facts with you on this hidden gem.
This 6.5 acres of lush greenery was the vision of Dr. Koichi Kawana, a world-renowned designer, artist, poet, and teacher. It captures modern elements mixed with tradition, giving visitors a chance to escape from their busy, chaotic lives. I had the opportunity to meet up with Jean Green, manager of the Japanese Garden, who filled me in on some of the unique features of this place.
These are ginkgo trees. They're a fan-shaped leaf like this. They date back to prehistoric times. They're thought early on, years ago, to be extinct. In Japan, they found some on a monastery, and now they've been found worldwide. So this is one that dates way back to the dinosaur era. We also have sago palms in the garden here that date back to that period of time also.
Japanese gardens are art form gardens and not botanical. This particular one is divided into 3 parts: a Zen meditation garden, a strolling garden with a promenade, and the tea garden and tea house. But did you know? The water in this beautiful garden comes from reclaimed wastewater that is processed at the D.C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant, which sits next to the garden. D.C. Tillman, a city engineer, set up this system for water recycling.
In the early 70s, they didn't have any upstream water treatment plants to process the wastewater. His idea was to bring upstream plants and use the water locally for the benefit of the public. And this is how it all came about, is that he had this issue. He had this plant built and the Glendale plant built to have upstream water available, let's say reclaimed water available to use, which now we're using for irrigation, golf courses, and we're going to use for groundwater recharge in the future.
It's even become quite the hotspot for Hollywood productions to film at. In fact, you might recognize this building from Star Trek. With 42,000 visitors a year, there are still Angelenos who are just finding out about this place.
I've lived here for over 16 years. I lived across the street from here at one point and never came here. It's really impressive. I'm actually shocked.
Impressive is just one of the words that can be used to describe this peaceful oasis. It's the perfect place to experience tranquil beauty while connecting with nature. In the San Fernando Valley, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
more information, visit thejapanesegarden.com or call 818-756-8166. When it comes to staying on the cutting edge of technology, the younger generation certainly has the upper hand, but seniors are increasingly getting up to speed.
No, you're not looking at the next Star Wars sidekick or a futuristic replacement for household pets. This is Jita.
We made this to help people be more pedestrian. It follows a person at walking speed, and it carries about 45 pounds of goods.
Jita is just one of the solutions shared at Aging into the Future, a conference designed to help seniors and their caregivers make the most of technology to improve and enhance their quality of life as they grow older. Mayor Eric Garcetti noted that there are more than 500,000 seniors in Los Angeles, with that number expected to double by 2030.
To better understand and meet the needs of older Angelenos, we're engaging with them, learning from them, gathering their perspectives and ideas, and seeking their counsel.
Co-sponsored by the City of LA's Department of Aging, the conference also showcased a prototype device called On the Move that allows seniors to walk without the fear of falling.
What On the Move is, it's the first exercise device that allows somebody to safely get cardio exercise in a motorized device while they're seated. This allows hundreds of millions of people around the world potentially to get healthier in a safe environment.
Protecting impaired seniors from exploitation was another important part of the conference. As LA County District Attorney Jackie Lacey explained, the need is critical.
That by 2030, 1 in 5 U.S. residents will be 65 years or older. Now, California has the largest older adult population in the U.S., and sadly, 1 in 10 adults will experience some form of elder abuse, be it physical, emotional, financial, or neglect.
Experts say the challenges are complicated, but the opportunities are real. With the help of the best tech minds available, input from LA seniors, and a little help from Jita, Aging into the Future just might be an exciting adventure.
Other major sponsors of the conference included the Eisner Foundation and AARP. A popular TV actor takes up what could be his greatest role, volunteering for the homeless and spreading the word that donating your time is cool. Step right up to the Carnival of Love. Gil Reyes takes us there.
Once a year, the desperate streets of Skid Row turn into a pleasure fair of free services, free games, spa services, even haircuts for LA's unhoused. It's one of the greatest acts under the big top, a Carnival of Love.
Such great, wonderful, caring people that came out to help us, and I really appreciate that. That's giving, that's godsend when someone can come out and help you when you don't have anything.
Carnival of Love is the brainchild of actor Justin Baldoni, best known as Raphael on the CW show Jane the Virgin. Back in 2015, he invited a few friends to celebrate his birthday, not by throwing a party, but by bringing supplies to the homeless population on Skid Row.
Our only intention is to love and to lift up this population and to let them know that they matter, that we hear them, that we see them, that we believe in them, that their situation does not define them. They're not defined by their circumstance, that they're amazing souls that can do anything they want to do.
His annual event has grown to include close to 2,000 volunteers and several sponsors. Services also include free showers, health screenings, pet grooming, legal advice, job placement, even a feet washing station where LA Mayor Eric Garcetti lends a hand. The mayor says homelessness will only end if everyday citizens take the initiative and get involved.
It has to be solved by all of us. We have to say yes to housing, we have to adopt a family, we have to take our church parking lots and let RVs go there. So there's something for all of us to do, and today you really see LA at its best.
Step right up, or rather step up, to help end the crisis facing Los Angeles today. Reporting from the Carnival of Love, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The mayor has launched a website offering other ideas on how to help at lamayor.org/Days of Compassion. A park in the San Fernando Valley is sporting a whole new look and meeting one of the city's greatest challenges.
In some ways, parks are just what they've always been, A place for kids and the elderly, for families, or just for someone to spend some alone time. But in Valley Glen Community Park, there's something new to celebrate. Thanks to 2nd District Councilmember Paul Krikorian and the Department of Recreation and Parks, Valley Glen has seen a facelift that not only looks great, but hosts a whole selection of conservation improvements.
We reseeded with natural turf grass with a mixture of Bermuda and Kikuyu seed, grass that thrives during the summer, goes dormant during the winter, but it doesn't require that much water. Irrigation system, new drought-tolerant plant material, and landscape boulders.
New trees and decomposed granite walking paths were also added. Residents say they can now enjoy a park that's been revitalized and entirely renewed.
You walk over here and you really feel like this is a special place for people to come with their families.
Our health plan says walk, and that's what we use the path here for.
Come out here and enjoy your park. This is your park.
Valley Glen Community Park, a neighborhood favorite, now with a sustainable future.
Since 2004, the Department of Recreation and Parks has reduced water usage by 50%. Well, let your kids' imaginations run wild as they make their favorite paper animals, see the treasures of King Tut up close and personal, and discover how Californian and Mexican design influenced each other. All this in this week's Things to Do.
As part of the Blessing of the Animals event, El Pueblo Historical Monument and El Pueblo Park Association will be hosting a free Making Paper Animals workshop for all ages. Let your kids' creative juices flow and have fun creating all sorts of shapes and sizes. The free arts and craft workshop takes place Saturday, March 31st from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the Northeast Plaza located at 125 Paseo de la Plaza. To celebrate the 100-year anniversary of the discovery of King Tut's tomb, the California Science Center proudly presents the world premiere of King Tut, Treasures of the Golden Pharaoh. Discover over 150 authentic artifacts from King Tut's celebrated tomb, 60 of which have never traveled outside of Egypt until now. In a dramatic new presentation, dazzling multimedia complements rare artifacts. Examine exquisite rings found on King Tut's fingers, opulent jewelry that adorned his body, and the golden sandals placed on his feet upon burial. The Treasures of the Golden Pharaoh exhibit is now open at the California Science Center located at Exposition Park. Found in Translation, Design in California and Mexico 1915 through 1985 is a groundbreaking exhibition and accompanying book about design dialogues between California and Mexico. Its four main themes explore how modern and anti-modern design movements defined both locales throughout the 20th century. Half of the show's more than 250 objects represent architecture, conveyed through drawings, photographs, and films to illuminate the unique sense of place that characterized California's and Mexico's buildings. This exhibition is the first to examine how interconnections between California and Mexico shape the material culture of each place, influencing and enhancing how they presented themselves to the wider world. The exhibit runs at LACMA until Sunday, April 1st. And that's a look at some things to do.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kane from all of us here at LA This Week. Thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Hey, buddy. You with the stupid hat. Come here. Closer. No parking! Do you know what happens when you park illegally on these narrow hillside streets? You block the street so emergency vehicles can't pass. Each year, homes are destroyed and lives are lost because of drivers like you who park illegally. And you know what else? You can get a citation. And you can be towed.
Help us get to the emergency. The life we save just might be yours.
How'd you know?
The ball called.
Hey, look out for the pothole.
(911) emergency, operator 271.
The city of Los Angeles receives over 2 million 911 calls every year. Hello, I'm Mayor Eric Garcetti.
I'm Chief Charlie Beck. A significant number of 911 calls are not emergencies.
911 should be used for emergency calls, such as preservation of life, a crime in progress, prevention of a crime, or a public hazard.
If your call is not an emergency, such as a loud party, verbal dispute, public nuisance, or lost or missing property, you can dial 1-877-ASK-LAPD to have the police respond.
Remember, call 1-877-ASK-LAPD for non-emergency calls.
Los Angeles Police Department, what are you reporting?
Hi, I'm Shannon Lamert Park. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.
this morning, we're announcing his retirement. This morning, I rise to recognize him for his retirement after 35 and a half years with the city. He began working for the city in 1982 and is going to retire on Friday of this week. For the past several years, Al's been the first person to greet each of us when we drive into our city hall to park. Now it's our turn to acknowledge his service and wish him well into the future. In retirement, Al will get to spend more time with his wife, Maria, who is right here, his granddaughter, Natalia, who's right there, the rest of his family, who are all in the front row over here, including his mother and family members that are right there. And he's also going to get to do one of the things he enjoys to do, going to Las Vegas. And so, Al, may Lady Luck shine upon you at the tables of Las Vegas and throughout your retirement and throughout your life. And so on behalf of the entire City Council, we have all put together this certificate of special recognition for all the great service that you've done for this city over the years. Please accept this small token.
Thank you.
You want to say anything?
Before you speak, first of all, now you get the opportunity to say all the things you've never been able to say, right? Now, I know that when Mark retired, offline, he was able to tell us all the secrets that really you guys keep. But we all truly appreciate often you being the first person we see as we're driving in this building, always with a smile, always with a friendly greeting, just always there for us, and an inspiration. And I will tell you, even in the pouring rain, in the cold weather, no matter what's going on, just always delightful, and
Thank you.
And it's recognized, and so we wish you the very, very best.
Thank you.
The floor is yours. Sorry, their names aren't coming up. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Kretz.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Sorry, my button doesn't seem to be working, but I did just want to recognize you, Al. Although I wouldn't recognize you if you weren't wearing your sunglasses. You've been here for a long time. I remember you back when my wife Gail used to work for Councilman Joel Wax, which is going way back, but not quite when you started. You're always a friendly face and a great person for all of us to work with. And I know you're ready to retire, but it's sad for us to lose you. So come back and visit every once in a while. I'm glad you get to spend more time with your wonderful family, but we will definitely miss you.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know if the speaker queue is working. Were there other speakers? Still not on my end. You know what? Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and open the roll first. So I've had officially start the meeting so we can get it to. Yeah, let's go ahead and officially start the meeting.
Very good, sir.
We're doing this in your honor.
Blumenfield, Bonner, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Kretz, Corian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rodriguez, Rue, Wesson. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, great. Thank you. There, we can go ahead and continue now. So there are, I'm not seeing, now that we got the speaker queue working. Okay. Done. Al, the floor
I
is,
want to
floor
thank
is yours.
everybody for your certificate and your signatures. We'll appreciate this a lot. Thank you very much.
All right, that's it. Light, tight, and bright.
I'm simple, sir.
That was the moment we were waiting for.
I'm simple. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Congratulations. Thank you for everything. Okay, Mr. Clerk, let's go ahead and turn your attention to the agenda now. If we can go ahead and run through the agenda.
Very good, sir. The first order of business is approval of the minutes.
Mr. Blumenfield moves, Mr. Bonin seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Huizar moves and Mr. Corrett seconds.
Mr. President, inasmuch as council will be in recess until Tuesday, April 10th, would you like to send all items today forthwith?
Yes, colleagues, all items today on the agenda will be sent forthwith without objection.
Very good,
The
sir.
order?
The Department of Building and Safety recommends that items A and D be received and filed inasmuch as the subject properties were determined to be owner-occupied single-family dwellings and thus exempt from lien processing.
Great.
The department further requests that item 1C be continued to April 27th.
Okay, then that'll be the order without objection.
Very good, sir. That brings us to items 1 through 5. They're items noticed for public hearing.
Okay, then are there cards on those? Any specials on those, colleagues?
Mr. President, we have cards on all 5 items.
All right, we'll go ahead and hold those on the desk. Next items, please.
Items 6 through 34 are items for which public hearings have been held. Committee reports for items 6 and 29 through 33 have been submitted, posted, and circulated for council's consideration. Item 28 should be held on the desk until such time as the Public Safety Committee report is submitted and circulated. Item 34 should be held on the desk for an amending motion. And additionally, there's been a request to hold item 21 on the desk as well.
Mr. O'Farrell.
Mr. President, item 10 special, please.
Mr. Corrett.
Yes, I'd like to continue item 26 for 60 days.
And 60 days would bring us to May 29, sir.
All right, that'll be continued till that date, 60 days without objection. That'll be the order. Mr. Kokorian. I'm sorry, your mic is not on.
Item 16 special for verbal amendment, please.
Did you wish to make that now, or we can hold it on the desk?
I can make it now if you'd like to.
Great.
Okay. I'd like to amend item number 16, please, to clarify that recommendations 7 and 8 are intended to allow for construction on projects to proceed without further council action if they stay within their budgetary limitation, subject to an available appropriation in the fiscal year 18-19 budget. But any project should come back for further council consideration if it exceeds the limitation outlined in recommendation number 7. I'd also like to include a new recommendation number 9 to read, number 9, declare sidewalk repairs for access requests a matter of urgent necessity and authorize the Department of Public Works and or the city engineer to utilize existing city contracts as appropriate, including emergency pre-qualified on-call contracts to accelerate pending repairs. And then I'd like to include a new recommendation number 10 to read, authorize the city administrative officer to make technical corrections to attachment A and attachment C of the CAO report to reflect the intent of the council and the mayor.
Okay, and we're looking for a second? Okay. We got a second? And with that, I would deem that as significantly different, so we're going to go ahead and open the public comment on that item as well. And what we'll do, though, is we'll include it. All the items, all the items were already called for public comment anyway, so it gets grouped into those. And so for multiple speaker cards, there's no net effect. And anybody wishing to speak on that change, they can do that at that time. Okay, so that item will go ahead and hold on desk for public comment. Colleagues, we can open the roll on the balance of the items. We'll go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those items are approved. Next items, please.
Mr. President, items 35 through 37 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
All right, colleagues, we'll go ahead and open the roll for consideration on those items. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, those items are now before us. Do we have any cards?
Cards on all 3, sir.
Cards on all 3. We'll go ahead and hold those on the desk for public comment.
Very good. Items 38 and 39 are items scheduled for closed session. Would you like to hold them on the desk?
We'll go ahead and hold those three. Mr. Kokorian, did you want to hold those three items?
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 38 and 39 have both been considered by Budget and Finance, which recommends approval of the City Attorney's recommendations on those settlements. Those matters can both be heard in open session unless members have questions or concerns.
Members, any questions, concerns? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and open the roll on those ballots of those two.
Mr. President, if I may, for item 38 in the case entitled Atzman v. Oren et al., there is a recommendation to approve settlement in the amount of $1.2 million in exchange for the termination of the covenant agreement and discharge of the obligation to build the project. And for item 39, in the case entitled Congress DBA LA Los Angeles Community Action Network versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $200,000 in full settlement of attorney's fees and costs.
Okay, colleagues, we'll go ahead and open the roll then on those two items. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Mr. President, that takes council back to presentations, item called special or public comment for items not on.
Okay, Ms. Rodriguez, you ready? Okay, yep. Great.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. It is my great honor today to continue with the celebrations that we started earlier this month for March commemorating Women's History Month. And so today I thought it would be apropos that we start recognizing some of the other women trailblazers that are making their mark known in city government, and that is those of our women firefighters. And so today I have many of the firsts that we are here celebrating today, and if you will please give them the thunderous round of applause that they deserve. There are so many women that make countless impacts to a number of different areas of service, particularly in city government, but I think it is really special, not just because, you know, everyone knows my deep history with the LA City Fire Department, but what I think is very special is that when you consider that 3% of women are LA City firefighters. We know that when we continue to strive and work for gender equity, this is an area that we have a lot of work to do and continue to make impact in. And I'm very proud to be joined today by our Fire Chief, Ralph Terrazas, as well as our outstanding Commissioner, Rebecca Nimberg. Come here, get over here. Because it's the work that they continue to do both at the commission level and at our leadership level to help assure that we have that diversity and that equity here in the department. And I'm proud to know of the work that they are doing each and every day. But again, it takes those women that have the tenacity, the drive, and the relentless commitment to service to be part of LA City's finest. And I'm so glad to be joined today by a few of our really powerful firsts. Today I am joined by our fire marshal, our first female fire marshal and deputy chief, Kristen Crowley. She oversees over 200 people within the Fire Safety Prevention Bureau, and she's run a number of high school fire academies, something I'm very familiar with because, you know, the history of the Fire Academy program is part of the tools that we have in our effort to help assure that we are exposing our department to individuals from our community to assure that diversity, and the Fire Academy programs are instrumental in helping to reach a younger generation of Angelino for those opportunities in a career in fire service. Kristen was amongst those that were part of the leadership when my father and I started the Fire Academy program for the LA City Fire Department, and so I'm very familiar with her commitment and her legacy to supporting that, and I thank you so much for your example of leadership. Chief Crowley is also joined by her partner, apparatus operator Holland Bullock, another honoree, and their 3 beautiful children. Thank you guys for being here. Battalion Chief Chris Larson is the first African-American battalion chief. She has close to 3 decades of experience with the LA City Fire Department and has served the areas of the 7th District and was stationed at Fire Station 74s. Apparatus operator Holland Bullock, the first female apparatus operator. You know, my dad was an AO. I know it's a tough job. She has volunteered in New York City after the 9/11 attacks, and in New Orleans following Hurricane Katrina. Most recently, she was in Santa Barbara as a part of the search and rescue efforts after the mudslide. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning. And also, investigator Rosa Tufts, our first female arson investigator and first Los Angeles Firefighter Association Firefighter of the Year Award winner. And what's really special about the Firefighter of the Year Award is that that is selected by the peers of the department, and it's a very special award, and it's very few people have had that distinguished honor, and so congratulations on receiving that. And again, these women really represent the very best of our LA City Fire Department and our city. And I also want to acknowledge some of the other firsts that were unable to join us today, but we still would be remiss if we did not acknowledge their contributions to helping to assure that we are continuing to blaze trails in the department for gender equity. Captain Denise Jones, who was the first female engineer. Inspector Gail Sonata, the first female Los Angeles Firemen's Relief Association LAFRA board member. Firefighter Brenda Greenbank, the first female Golden Rung Award winner. And some that you might be familiar with, firefighter Caroline Carpenter, who was the first female top recruit winner in our last graduating class. And retired Deputy Chief Roxanne Barrick, the first female Deputy Chief. Again, their contributions are endless, and I know I'm really proud to be a member of this council and have the opportunity to acknowledge their contributions, but I'd like to ask at this time that Chief Terrazas please join me in some remarks.
Thank you, Councilmember Englander. Thank you for having us, City Council members, Councilmember Rodriguez. It's an honor to be here to recognize women who were first in many areas. I don't want to repeat that, but I want to add one piece to arson investigator Rosa Tufts. She also is a Banning High School graduate, class of 1976. Go Pilots. We're very, very proud of her and all the other women behind me. These are our current women. Now we have to be thinking about the next generation. And as we speak, we have 15 females in training at our drill tower on Terminal Island, as well as Drill Tower 81 in the Valley. Combined, there's 15 females in progress to be trained. Not all of them will make it, but we're hoping a large percentage of them do. We are open for filing. We started on March 5th through June 29th, so if you know somebody, especially females, please encourage them to apply. And we're also thinking about the next generation. We need to set the department up for success in the future. We have a girls' camp April 7th in the Valley. We have our Metro Weekend Fire Academy, which just started, and approximately 50% of those kids are female. And we also have our high school magnet firefighter program at Banning, at Wilson, at Dorsey, and Monroe. And those academies average about 50% female. So all of this work cannot have been done just by one person. It's been a true team effort, starting with Mayor Garcetti, the City Council, our Fire Commission, Personnel Department, Women in the Fire Service, as well as UFLAC. So thank you very much for this recognition. We look forward to having more females join our great department.
Councilmember Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez, for honoring these amazing women. I just want to say a quick thank you to the women in the fire department for working alongside me for the last 4 years to create the strategies, to create that pipeline where little girls can grow up to see themselves as women firefighters. Some of you have been incredibly instrumental in creating the Wear Your Strength on Your Sleeve campaign to encourage more women to enter our fire department. You also have been incredibly helpful with our Girls Camp, and I know Chief Terrazas has mentioned this, but Girls Camp this year is in the Valley in my district on April 7th, which is next Saturday, and we hope that a lot of you have enrolled your young girls to participate, but last year we had an incredible camp, and all of you played an instrumental role in that and made sure that you were there present so that little girls can see themselves in you one day. So thank you very much. Chief, I know our goal is to set our goal was to set 5% of the force to be women. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but 5% is doable, and we need to do it within our lifetime to make sure that all of our daughters see themselves one day as firefighters. Thank you very much for your service. Ms. Rodriguez, thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations. Thank you.
So thank you, colleagues. With that, on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, ladies, thank you so much for your service. More importantly, thank you for being the first, but here's to not letting you be the last. Thank you so much.
All right, we have another special presentation. Councilmember Kern Price, come on down. You're the next contestant.
Mr. President, in the meantime, there's been a request to continue item 21 to April 11. Again, that's item 21 to April 11.
Okay, without objection, that'll be the order.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, today we are honoring Mr. Ernest M. Roberts, the retiring Executive Director of PV Jobs, who's retiring after 20 years of service to PV Jobs and to our community. Let's give him a hand. 20 years. As many of you know, PV Jobs is a workforce development nonprofit dedicated to assisting local, at-risk, and multiple barriered citizens in attaining self-sufficiency through meaningful career track employment. Under Robert's direction since its beginnings in 1998, PV Jobs has grown to become a major community-based organization with over 130 collaborating nonprofits. This organization, based in CD9, right on South Main Street, has filled more than 7,000 construction-related positions with persons who were formerly incarcerated or suffered other employment barriers. They also have a program to help returning military personnel establish new careers through the Veterans Employment Assistance Program and the Right Turn Program, which offers juvenile offenders educational and workforce development services to ensure that they acquire the skills to advance on their own path. Not only has this work impacted the city of LA, but PV Jobs has become a national model for others that serve the local at-risk population in mainstream employment opportunities. Ernest, you're going to be missed, but the great work at PV Jobs is going to continue because of the strong foundation and leadership that you have brought to the organization. Where's Ernest? So there he is. Today we are joined by members of the PV Jobs family, and the new Executive Director, Eric Miller. But today, Ernest, this is your day. We honor you today in City Council. Tonight, you'll be honored at a dinner. Just giving thanks and acknowledging the contribution that you have made over the years, as I said, to not just our community, but to the community at large. And so at this point, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Ernest M. Roberts, our retiring Executive Director of PB Jobs.
I want to thank you for recognizing, I guess, the work we do, but this work wasn't done in a vacuum. We actually, Playa Vista made the first commitment, no doubt, but the City of LA was the first to back the program and begin mimicking the programs within their own agencies. The CRA was the first, then followed by Public Works. And then their examples of success in implementing these kinds of employment programs to reintegrate families of the incarcerated and people who have barriers to employment has blossomed since the city was the very first to embrace this kind of thing. Metro has embraced it now. We're working on the Crenshaw Rail and just finished helping them develop their own internal program. The City of LA has developed their own internal program. 20 years ago when we started, there were no resources for people who were coming out of jail, for people who had these kinds of barriers, long-term welfare recipients and single parents and the like. So it has changed a lot in the last 20 years, and it's taken on a life of its own. We've been getting calls about our program and processes from as far away as Canada, Baltimore, Florida, all over the United States. So, and of course, this can't be done alone. I have my staff here that back my play, and our new executive director, Eric Miller. Jim Bierkart back here was a founding board member. Used to be with Galanter's office. So with all that, I would just thank you and just remember that this award is not mine, but it should also belong to you for helping us get this thing off the ground, get these processes off the ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ernest, and we are grateful for your contribution.
Mr. Harris
Dawson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to rise and congratulate and thank you, Ernest, for all your service, and recognize that when you did this work back in 1998, it was a couple of firsts. It was one of the first big development agreements that we had here in the city of Los Angeles with the Playa Vista development. Part of the development agreement was that we provide local jobs. We needed an organization to make sure that folks were ready for those jobs. And at that time, there was a big part of the population that believed people getting out of prison, people on welfare, that's a waste of time. They're never going to be productive workers. And you stepped forward to prove them wrong. We have a beautiful development in Council District 11 to show for it that your folks helped build. And now in the city of Los Angeles, both in Metro, in our city, we have the Targeted Local Hire program. We have work source centers all over the city. And you were really the one who pioneered that work and showed people what was possible and the best of what we can be when we have fallen down on our luck. And so thank you so much for that. And you ought to be proud of what's happening not just here in Los Angeles, but all over the country because of the work that you help lead.
Mr.
Yep. And your name's not coming up either. I'm going to test it while you're
Okay.
Mr. Bonin, but go ahead and push your
Thank
button.
you.
Now it's coming up. Okay.
Ernest.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I remember, I'm old enough now to remember when this was born, when this was first started, when it was just a little seed, and what you have done and your team to grow this program over the past couple of decades has been absolutely phenomenal. Los Angeles was in a much different place 20 years ago. We are in a much better place now. We still have a very long way to go, but this program was really instrumental in getting us to a better place. And Mr. Harris Dawson talked about how you built a beautiful development in my district. I'd go a little bit further. You built a beautiful community and a beautiful neighborhood in my district, and that is tremendously significant. This is one of those programs that very few people know about, that has a tremendous impact, not just on the lives of the people who've participated in it, not just on the facilities that have been built, but on the ripple effect and the way it's become an example and has been captured by Metro and everybody else. So I just really want to thank you for everything you've done. Thank your team, Jim. Want to remember for a quick moment Shelley McPherson, who was on your board, who's no longer with us, and the great work that she did. And look forward to seeing you at the event tomorrow night.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Price. Yes. I'd like to welcome to the podium Councilmember Paul Krikorian for a special presentation.
Good morning, members. Members, April marks Distracted Driving Awareness Month, and we're starting a little bit early in asking the City of Los Angeles to recognize Distracted Driving Awareness Month because of the extraordinary gravity that this opportunity presents us in educating the people of Los Angeles. In many ways, this little device has changed our lives. In many ways for the better. We have access to the world through this little device. But unfortunately, far too many people, in fact, an entire generation of people, are using this device at times when they shouldn't be, mainly when they should be concentrating on the road. And we have seen too often the tragic results in Los Angeles and throughout our country. According to the National Safety Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the last 2 years have marked the largest percentage increase of traffic fatalities in the United States in a half a century, with more than 40,000 last year. In 2016, 3,450 people were killed and 391,000 people seriously injured in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. And that's consistent with recent years. So pretty much every year, year in and year out, 10 people in this country are killed and 100 more are injured because of distracted drivers. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, 25% of young adults under the age of 34 respond to a text message once or more every single time they drive. 73% of drivers 18 to 20 years old, which are the highest risk age category to begin with, 73% admit to texting while driving on a regular basis. And we see the result. In 2016 in Los Angeles, there were 2,565 collisions involving teen drivers. 19 of those were fatal, and 207 of those were severe. Now, we know that in California it's been illegal for some time now to text or otherwise operate a phone while driving. But obviously, the message doesn't seem to be sinking in. Perhaps the penalties aren't severe enough. Perhaps enforcement isn't strong enough. But clearly, we need to do a lot more education among young drivers in particular. So why is this so important? If you text for 5 seconds, if you take your eyes off the road for 5 seconds to send or respond to a text. 5 seconds. That's the equivalent of closing your eyes and driving blind at 55 miles an hour for the length of an entire football field. And we know the results of that occur every day in the city and throughout our country. So last fall, I joined with some of the folks who are with me here today, along with the National Ad Council, to launch a citywide Stop Texts, Stop Wrecks public awareness campaign during National Teen Driving Safety Week. This campaign went up on LADOT Dash buses and Commuter Express buses throughout the city. There were over 360 buses that were carrying the message, make sure you arrive, just drive. Stop texts, stop wrecks. It's a simple, powerful, straightforward message, but it's critically important to change the mindset of these young drivers. And it can be done. When I was growing up, drunk driving was no big deal. People made jokes about it on television. Dean Martin practically made a career making jokes about driving drunk. But we know now that that's entirely socially unacceptable because it kills people. Distracted driving is exactly the same sort of thing, and we can change this mindset through additional education. So I want to go now to a PSA that's been running on distracted driving, and then I want to introduce my guests.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
So, trying to find any way we can to get this message to strike home with people. Don't be like Todd. So I want to introduce my first guest. In October of 2010, a bright young student at Notre Dame High School was lost in a tragic traffic collision when Connor Lynch was crossing the street and was struck and killed by a distracted driver, another young driver who was distracted and didn't see him, and as a result, 2 lives were dramatically changed. One was horribly lost, and the other will bear that burden for the rest of her life as well. And another person who was dramatically impacted by that was Connor's mom, who I got to meet just a few days after the accident, and we spoke about what we could do together to try to resolve this problem. And education was it. And so from the day of that collision until today, Jerry Dye Lynch has been a force of nature. She has been working around our city and beyond to try to spread the gospel of preventing distracted driving. There's been probably no one I've met who's been more forceful in sending this message and trying to save lives, and that is Connor Lynch's mom, Jerry Dye Lynch. Jerry?
Thank you so much. I love that video and really don't want anyone to be Todd. I'm honored to be here today to help kick off Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Thank you, council members, for having me. Thank you, Councilmember Krikorian. I wish we didn't have to have a month called Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Even more than that, I wish we didn't have to talk about the fact, as Councilmember Krikorian mentioned, that 11 teenagers die every day in our country because of distracted driving. It's an astonishing number, really, when you calculate it out, and it far exceeds the number of teens that are killed by guns in schools. But I don't think it gets the same public attention or media attention because there's separate incidents happening in separate cities. The total is 11 a day, and it's astonishing, really. One of those deaths, as Councilmember Krikorian mentioned, was my son, Connor Lynch. Connor was my eldest son, and he was training with his cross-country team on that day when he crossed Woodman and was killed by an 18-year-old, distracted, non-licensed hit-and-run driver. all during what I found out later was National Teen Safe Driving Week, the terrible additional irony of that. I lost my eldest son, and my other two boys lost their big brother. Connor was a junior in high school. He never got to go to his senior prom. He never got to attend that college that he dreamed of attending, and that changed our lives and many people in the community and throughout. As I've said, 11 teens die daily, but adults are also killed every day by distracted driving. I'm here today with my friend Gianna Mucci, who will speak as well. She lost her mother, Cheryl Mucci, who was 71 years old. Cheryl was a cherished mom and grandmother, a long-life Pasadena resident who was just driving home from her daughter's house, a 10-minute drive she'd done millions of times, when a distracted driver hit her. She fought for 15 excruciating days before she died, surrounded by loved ones. The driver was only fined $250 for taking her life. I'd like to add to what Councilman Krikorian said and remind you that pedestrian deaths rose sharply in 2017, and this is from a recent Los Angeles Times article dated February 28th. During the second full year of Vision Zero initiative, pedestrians killed rose 17% over last year, and it's up 82% since 2015. These statistics are really kind of astonishing when you look at that, while LA lowered traffic deaths 3% last year, Mayor Garcetti's 2015 executive order that created Vision Zero called for a 20% decrease. So 3% really falls very short. I think we have a really long way to go to curb this epidemic, and I think Stop Text, Stop the Wrecks is a way to go. We really need to do more in enforcement, legislation, and stigmatize this behavior. As a mother who endured the most tragic event of her life, losing one of my precious sons, on behalf of my friend Gianna and thousands of other people who lose their children, mothers and fathers, every day, I implore you to continue to raise awareness about the dangers of distracted driving so that other families do not have to go what we've gone through. I say, let's stop the texts and let's stop the wrecks. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. Members, we work with statistics a lot. We work with data a lot in this chambers, and we can spout numbers, and sometimes we get lost in those numbers. And when you hear stories like Jerry's, you understand the importance of the actual work that we do and that we need to continue to do. And in that vein, I'd also like to introduce, Jerry mentioned Gianna Mucci. I'd like to introduce Gianna to be able to talk for a moment about her loss of her mom in 2016. Gianna?
Thank you. My mom died 3 years ago yesterday, ironically, and as Jerry mentioned, the woman who killed her only received a $250 fine. I've gotten bigger parking tickets for that, so that's a huge, huge problem that we all need to address. Distracted driving is an epidemic, and we're all responsible. My sweet mom didn't deserve to die that way. She suffered for 15 hard days, 4 surgeries, and she tried to battle the injury she sustained, and she just couldn't do it. We miss her every second of every day. And if we don't all do something to stop this, increase penalties, increase awareness, we all have to stop using our phones. And then our friends will stop using their phones, and then the cycle will continue. We have to add a little shame here because it's deadly. Every single person in this room will be affected by distracted driving if we don't all pledge to stop it. Thank you.
Thank you, Gianna. Thank you, Gianna, very much. I do also want to take a moment to recognize Sergeant Steve Egan and Officer Troy Williams from LAPD Valley Traffic Division. Through the Community Traffic Services Unit, they both, first of all, they've seen in their careers what none of us should ever see. And they've seen it again and again, but they've also been extraordinary, not only in enforcing the law, but also educating people about the law and about the impacts of distracted driving. I want to thank them both very much. And then I'd also like to, Jerry mentioned our commitment to Vision Zero, which is a deep commitment. Clearly, though, for all that we can do with engineering changes and everything else that we can do with Vision Zero can only get us part of the way. The public needs to step up and take a role in this as well. The public, the people we represent, have to put down their phones, pay attention to the road, take out the buds, focus on driving. And nothing we're ever going to do through government is going to influence that if people aren't willing to do their share by making, as Gianna said, making this socially unacceptable and having some shame involved in that. So, but that being said, we have our role as well, and I want to now introduce the person in this city who is most committed, I think, to doing exactly that, the General Manager of our Department of Transportation, Salita Reynolds.
Thank you. Thanks, Councilmember, and thank you so much, Jerry and John, for being here. As a mom of 2 little girls, I'm totally humbled by the courage that you're bringing to the work that you do. We're very, very lucky to have champions like you. I just want to say a couple of words about distracted driving, because a lot of us think that it's really just about texting and that as long as we're hands-free, we can take phone calls and do other things behind the wheel, and that's not true. Even if you're on a phone call hands-free, your brain is as impaired as if you were drunk. It's not about your hands, it's about your brain. And as much as we talk about and think about how we can redesign the street, until we get very serious about legislating and enforcing people's attentiveness behind the wheel, we are going to struggle mightily to get to our goal of 0 traffic deaths by 2025. So I appreciate the leadership of Councilmember Krikorian. We're so grateful. But we have to do more. We have to say more. We have to be champions. And we have to hold each other accountable because of the precious responsibility for all of the lives in our community that we have when we get behind the wheel of a vehicle that can kill someone. Thank you.
We have a number of speakers on the queue as well. Councilmember Rue.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Councilmember Krikorian, for bringing this distracted driver awareness month to the council today and alerting us. And I really want to thank both Jennifer and Jerry Lynch. Jerry, which I've known for several years, thank you for all that you do to help educate. And I can't just, and as all the speakers from our general manager to the councilman said, education is key. And I know this year will be your 8th annual 5K run, walk, and expo, which is in honor of Connor. And it's not just a run, it's a whole festivities. And I love the skit that you do every year where you guys actually, where many of the parents dress up and do like a musical. And just to get, especially teens, educated. And I just want to say, it's not just distracted driving, and as Salita, our general manager, stated, and Councilmember Krikorian stated, with our Vision Zero, no matter how much stop signs we put up, no matter how much traffic enforcement officers we have in the corners, you know, it turns out whenever we get complaints about speeding in our streets or, you know, rolling stop signs, distracted driving, and when our traffic officers go out there and 80% of the tickets that they give out are for neighbors who live in the neighborhood. And all, as well as all the schools complaining about people doing illegal U-turns and speeding while kids are being picked up and dropped off. Again, most of the violators are other parents who are trying to get to work. So I applaud you for the educational component, because it's not about re-engineering our street or traffic enforcement. It's about really educating everyday individuals, educating ourselves on just waiting 5 more minutes, not looking at that text, you know, obeying that stop sign, obeying the speed limits, being very aware of our surroundings. So thank you very much for everything that you do, and I love partnering with you, and look forward to seeing you at the next run.
Councilmember Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Krikorian, for bringing this item forward. And my condolences to both of you. I know our communities are so proud of both of you for the work that you are courageously doing to make something good come out of your children's passing. I was one of the co-authors of the first piece of legislation in Sacramento to deal with distracted driving by then Assembly Member Joe Simidian. And I think there's no question it's just a problem that's getting worse every year. And as has been said, we have a great program for Vision Zero. We've identified the worst intersections, and we're trying to improve those so there'll be less damage there. But yet, the number of pedestrians killed maintains. 1 year it'll be flat, the next year it's gone up dramatically. We need to change this particular issue. And we know it can be done. We've seen it in my lifetime. It took a long time. As a kid, I remember sitting in the back seat without a seatbelt, roaming around. Who knows how many thousands and thousands of children and adults have been saved by the fact that everybody wears seatbelts. We have child car seats. And if you're a passenger or a driver in a car with company and you're not wearing a seatbelt, everyone else will tell you, put on your seatbelt. And you just can't do it anymore. We're not there with distracted driving yet. But we can be when this becomes a societal norm. And when that happens, we will literally save hundreds and hundreds of lives in LA City, LA County every year. So it's so important that we do this and think of other ways to get the word out and get to a point where the community pressure will be so great that nobody texts, nobody uses their cell phone while they're driving, because it's just not acceptable anymore to allow so many people to be injured and killed by bad behavior. I look forward to that day, and I appreciate all of you and your work to move us forward to that.
Mr. Harris Dawson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank you, Mr. Krikorian, for keeping this issue at the front of the discussion about traffic safety. I want to thank you, Mom, for sharing your story. There are a few things that can change our culture, like a mother's story and a mother's energy. And the leader of our Vision Zero movement, our chosen leader, Salida, thank you. I think another thing that we experience a lot in all over the city, but especially in District 8, is there's distracted driving, which is compounded by distracted walking and riding of bikes. So you have situations where a driver's on their phone and the pedestrians on their phone, and they both create a dangerous situation for lots of people, because when the driver looks up, they brake, a person's behind them. It's a whole chain reaction. And so I think we got to raise the level. This is new technology. It's new technology that is an intrusion into our life. And then when you're looking at it, more intrusions come as you're looking at the original intrusion. So it's a very, very complicated thing that we need to deal with. Maybe our friends in Sacramento, since they think they can do zoning everywhere, could support legislation to make cell phones shut off when they're going a certain speed, because they now know how fast you're going. You just turn on Waze. It'll tell you exactly how fast they're going. There's no reason why we can't have software that disables texting while you're actually going a certain speed. Just something I thought I'd throw out to our friends in Sacramento that you all know so well. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to add something to the choir on this. First and foremost, to the ones that were lost, to your son, to your mom. And when you mentioned the fine at $250, what an insult. My biggest fear, my absolute biggest fear in life every day, every single day, is every time I watch my daughters leave the house. Having two daughters of, two teenage daughters, well, one teen, one adult now, it scares me every day that anything can happen at a moment's notice. It was pouring rain the other day, and that just adds more fear. In fact, my daughter's boyfriend left the house, and I said, drive safely, and he drove home and rolled his car 3 times on the way home in the rain last week. people that are distracted driving need to be treated as a severe, gross negligent, drunk driver. Period. I mean, to think for a second that you can take your eyes off the road because that social media post is that important is shocking. What's crazy now is you can actually go on to YouTube and it trends constantly of teens videotaping while they're driving. That's insanity. So, Councilmember Krikorian, thank you so much for bringing this presentation in today. It should not be a monthly awareness campaign. It should be a daily awareness campaign, every day, from every parent. And oh, by the way, parents are just as responsible. Let's not put this on teens. I constantly look around as I'm driving and see adults on their phones all the time, and it's got to stop. Those seconds will make a difference. So thank you for doing this, and thanks for being here and your courage as well, and to our officers who are out there every single day. They hear every excuse. Every time they pull somebody over that's got a phone in their hand, I bet you they can rattle them off. It was only for a second. I was just looking at the map. It really wasn't my phone. Like, stop the excuses. Just put the phones down. So thank you very much. Let's give these ladies a big round of applause for showing their courageous, heartfelt ability to continue this campaign going. So thank you very, very much for being here today. Thank you, Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you, members, for all of your eloquent words. I'm proud that we are declaring April to be Distracted Driving Awareness Month in the City of Los Angeles, and I would just urge you all, members, to use this as an opportunity to communicate with your own constituents, use your own social media platforms. Let's spread the word about this. Go to stoptextsstopwrecks.org, and remember, don't be like Todd. Thanks very much, members.
Thank you. Come on.
I'm looking for my son and my granddaughter that were here, but
did they step out?
She got restless.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Well, can we wait? We can wait.
Good morning, Mr. Englander.
Okay,
We'll start.
Okay.
This one takes an army and a village, and for good reason. Colleagues, 33 years. 33 years, we've had the honor and the privilege, and we get to celebrate now a career and her contributions for our emergency management department's Joanne Clark. Let's give her a big round of applause. More than 3 decades, Joanne has served as Los Angeles City Departments, including she has been with the Building and Safety Department, the Department of Transportation, the Bureau of Sanitation, the Bureau of Street Services, and finally, Emergency Management Department. Let's give her a big round of applause. That's extraordinary. Joanne currently serves as EMD's, this is a great title, the Disaster Management Bureau Manager and Emergency Coordinator. Think about this for a moment. While we're all here, our biggest fear as elected officials is that something will and can happen in our very own districts. Ask Monica Rodriguez that question. Right when she took office, major disasters, fires. We've certainly seen it in my district, the epicenter of disaster, and you're not just referring to the council member of the district, the epicenter of disaster in the city of Los Angeles. We have our annual fires. We're known for one of the largest earthquakes in the entire history of the city of Los Angeles in Northridge.
Certainly the Chatsworth train collision, which none of us anticipated would then become the largest of its kind in the history of the United States. We lost an officer, a police officer, and 24 others, 165 severely and critically injured. We had the Aliso Canyon gas blowout and major evacuations. And we've seen it all. And the first person, the first contact, the one we look towards is EMD. And Joanne Clark has led the Disaster Management Bureau and manager and emergency coordinator. So all the things leading up to all of these major crises, the reason they say that the city of Los Angeles is the best prepared large city is because of Joanne Clark. That's why there's an army behind her. She's left this city better than when she found it. In fact, if you look at having been with Building and Safety, Transportation, the Bureau of Sanitation, and Street Services, these are all the key ingredients to actually head up that bureau. Without that behind her, that knowledge, that experience, the tenacity to continue to move up the ladder and grow in the ranks and take all of that experience with her, I don't know where we'd be at today without that. You can't hire somebody off the street. You can't put an ad in the paper and expect 33 years of experience and leadership to put us on a path towards that. She's helped us make the city more efficient, more safe, more reliable, more resilient, and more enjoyable, and continues to exemplify her values and her strength. One of her greatest achievement that she claims, I think it's making the city safe, was the faith liaison for EMD. In fact, Joanne implemented the city's first ever faith community roundtable. She was the first. We all claim to do them regularly. She was the first that created, let's move out to our faith-based organizations. Let's have a dialogue and a conversation of their involvement in this discussion of preparedness and emergency management. Bringing together them, and if you look at now what's happening in churches and synagogues across the city because of it, Red Cross has pre-established shelters and emergencies. They now have a communication and a dialogue and an outreach list to reach out to for these major incidents. That was Joanne. Her mission as the faith-based liaison was to encourage, educate, and empower houses of worship. She's done that. In fact, there are cities all over the country now, all over the world, that come here to learn what she's done to make sure that we're resilient and we have these plans in place. She's received various accommodations throughout her career for initiating new work concepts and having extraordinary commitment to her duties, including recognized as the FEMA honoree for building resilience in diverse communities. Just to put that on a plaque, it was like this long. 33 years, she's demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to both her department and to the residents and to our entire community. So with that, I'd like to bring up EMD's general manager. Aram, come on up. And turn it over to you to say a few words.
Thank you. And by the way, this is the whole department behind me.
So does everybody feel safe?
Thank you, Honorable Council. Thank you for the opportunity. It's an honor for me to be here today to celebrate Joanne's retirement. Joanne worked for many departments in the city, but she saved the best for last, and that's the Emergency Management Department. For the past 10 years, she's been promoting community preparedness, emergency preparedness. She's been the leader in the South Los Angeles Disaster Management Bureau. We're recognized within the city at the federal level. She's our liaison with the faith-based. Countless hours. Joanne, you're leaving a legacy behind, and you need to build a greater one with your loved ones, with your family. To Noel, Daniel, Catherine, Giselle, I think they're outside, right? Where's the baby?
She's asleep.
She's asleep. Thank you for sharing her with us, for the countless hours away from home, during the activations, day and night, on weekends. for your parents in their absence. Thank you again for them to share you with us. And now we wish you the best of luck. Good retirement. Thank you.
I'd like to now introduce Rob Freeman, our AGM, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, council members, for this opportunity today. On behalf of the staff of EMD, I just want to acknowledge the great contributions that Joanne has made every day for all of us, her colleagues. Joanne is the kind of employee that would always be anxious to respond, anxious to work those long shifts in the Emergency Operations Center. Countless times that we've shared those experiences with her. And she's been a mentor for many of our staff. We have a lot of procedures and things that we do in the EOC that require training, but many people that have come onto our staff, new folks, Joanne's been instrumental in kind of showing them the ropes for how things work. So we're going to miss that very much, but Joanne, thanks for being there for all of our staff. You may not know it, but Joanne's a great Kings fan. So as a Kings fan myself, I think it's great that Joanne was with the city and we were actually able to celebrate the parade as Kings fan when they finally won a Stanley Cup championship here for the city of LA. So now you're going to have more time to go to Kings games and enjoy yourself. But we're going to miss you a lot, but we certainly appreciate the way that you shared yourself with us, the way that you helped us learn, the way that you were always responding, and there for us. We'll miss you, but thank you so much for everything.
I know you were a Kings fan. Now, all right. Now we have. You're not going to be going far then during your retirement, so we'll make sure we hit some games together. So, now this is cool. Dr. Jana Scott, former Deputy Director of the White House Office Center of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships, flew in this morning for this presentation. So, Dr. Scott, thanks for being here.
Mr. Council President, Honorable Council, Mr. Sahakian, I just want to let you know that I would not have missed this opportunity for anything. When I was with the White House Office for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships and deployed by Homeland Security to Los Angeles, Joanne was a stalwart in helping us work with communities around this city. Although she was assigned to South Bureau, she was, because of her tenacity, because of her influence, and because of her capabilities, was able to help us engage faith-based community leaders, even academic institutions all over the city of Los Angeles. I have to say that Joanne was loved by many of the people that she engaged, but she's also very capable. And today the city is retiring a pioneer in community preparedness. Many of the things that Joanne led here during my deployment here have been copied in cities around the country. She was always very humble about that, but she stood on many calls with us and many webinars with us to teach people in other cities how to do what she was able to accomplish here. I just want to say in closing that I hope you enjoy your retirement. I know you will, and your family and the grandchildren. But I think about Winston Churchill's comment when he said, "You make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give." And Joanne clearly made a life here in the city of LA and made life better for all of the residents of this great city. So thank you very much, and God bless you.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, I have a certificate signed by all of you, and all of us, and Bob Blumenfield, and Blue. Thanks for that, Bob. And to Joanne Clark, to thank you for making us safe, for giving us and dedicating your life to doing that mission, fulfilling that goal and accomplishment. And we'll be thinking about you during the next earthquake. Oh, thank you.
I'll be thinking about you guys too.
Now we want you to say a few words as well. All right, well, hold this up.
Well, thank you, Council President Englander, and thank you, Council, Honorable Council, women and men. I think I changed my mind. I don't want to retire. No, I'm just kidding. No, this is a long time coming, and I just want to say I was grateful to the City of Los Angeles 33 years ago to hiring me as a clerk typist and working great promotional opportunities within the city. At the time we had tuition reimbursement going back to school, and I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to work in all these wonderful departments. And all that stuff everybody said about me, well, it wouldn't have been done. I mean, I have my department, my colleagues, who also helped me along the way, and I'm just grateful that I had a job with the city for 33 years. I was very blessed, and thank you very much.
One more thing. Wait. Introduce your family.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is my husband, Noel Clark. My son, Daniel Holguin. His wife, Catherine Holguin, and my granddaughter, Giselle. She's asleep. She's in the buggy. So this is too much for her, but thank you very much.
Oh, that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So when's your official last day?
Tomorrow. Well, yeah, tomorrow.
Thank you.
Tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Englander. Congratulations, Joanne. Mr. Koretz, whenever you're ready. Good morning, Mr. Koretz.
Good morning, Madam President. Colleagues, today we are declaring Mediation Awareness Week in the City of Los Angeles. I'm delighted to be joined by Daniel Ben-Zvi, the chair of Mediation Awareness Week, and other distinguished guests who will be introduced shortly, including the supervising judge of the Superior Court of Los Angeles County, actually presiding judge, I should say, the Honorable Daniel Buckley. We've celebrated Mediation Awareness Week annually here in City Hall for 14 years, and that's because the option of mediation for people experiencing conflict in their personal or professional lives is of tremendous benefit to those individuals and their families and communities. We want to do what we can to let people know about mediation and to raise mediation awareness. People need forums other than our courts for the resolution of conflict. The resolution of disputes can be unnecessarily costly, time-consuming, complex, and sometimes pretty ugly when achieved through court proceedings. In mediation, parties in dispute can often agree on a resolution under the guidance of a skilled mediator, thereby avoiding the need to seek a decision from a judge, jury, or arbitrator. And the City of Los Angeles now has a substantial number of professionally trained mediators providing dispute resolution services to those in need of such services. What matters is that we, as a community and as a society, can come to a common place no matter how much disagreement is in the air, so we can work out our issues amicably and productively. Litigation should be a last resort only after all mediation efforts have been made. And now I'd like to hear from the chair of Mediation Awareness Week, Daniel Ben-Zvi, who will also help us with the introductions of our other special guests.
Thank you, Councilmember Koretz. I'm Daniel Ben-Zvi. Thank you for sponsoring the 14th Annual Mediation Awareness Week, and thanks to our former sponsors, Wesson, Boscaino, Zine, and our founding sponsor, Wendy Gruhl. Mediators share a joke among themselves. What's the difference between a mediator and an ice skater? A mediator always skates on thin ice. Well, mediation and bringing people to compromise is not easy, but expert mediators and expert politicians have had great success. As some of you know from cases I've mediated involving the city, over 90% of the thousands of cases I've mediated have settled most within one day. One example, two young entrepreneurs started a food business together. It grew to over 100 employees, and it was a multi-million-dollar success. That is until the lawsuits and causing the business and employees to suffer. A bitter fight between the two partners that created it. Before a one-month planned trial, the partners came to me for mediation. I guided the process, meeting with them separately and with joint session, and at the end of one day, they settled their entire dispute. Today, their employees and the food business in downtown LA are now thriving. Just one of the thousands of mediation success stories here in LA. Mediation saves LA an enormous expense that would otherwise have to be spent on more judges, more courthouses. And mediation certainly promotes a happier, more productive society. Now let's meet some of the outstanding leaders and diverse leaders that we have here behind me. To save time, they will each introduce themselves.
Good morning, members. I'm Judge Dan Buckley. I'm the presiding judge of the largest court in the country, the Los Angeles Superior Court. Your constituents are our court's constituents, and they bring their disputes, they bring our community's disputes to our 38 courthouses. And you can look at mediation to be sort of the oil of the machine of our court. We desperately need resolution of cases such that those cases that do, in fact, need a trial, we have the time, the judges, and the courtrooms for them. And obviously, it's your small business owners, the breadwinner who was hurt in an accident, and many others in civil cases that need mediation for resolution. But also keep in mind all types of cases that are brought to our courts. Two good examples are dependency over in the Edelman Court, where children are in an abused home, and how we can resolve the family's dispute at the outset and really bring the children to the right environment as soon as possible. And also in our family courts, where there is parents who can't agree whether the drop-off should be at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. And our mediators are able to bring resolution sooner that allows the family to move on. So I applaud all the mediators that do the great work for us and for our court. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mike Arias, a proud constituent of my councilmember Mike Bonin and friends of Kern Price. I am the current president of the Los Angeles Trial Lawyers, and I'm the incoming president for the California Trial Lawyers. I represent about 7,000 trial lawyers in the state of California who represent typically plaintiffs. I've had the opportunity over my 33-year career to mediate dozens of cases involving the city of Los Angeles, and I will say that we've been able to avoid going to trial on each and every one of those cases. The mediation process is an integral part of the litigation process. Unfortunately for me, many of the people you'll talk to, mediation is the first step. Unfortunately for me, litigation starts. Am I done? Litigation starts and mediation tends to be the last part of the process, but it does work, and it keeps about 95% of the cases that were filed in this country from going to trial. So I'm a big fan of it, and I thank the City of Los Angeles and all the efforts made to make mediation an integral part of the litigation process. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Shalfin Roberts. I'm the director for the City Attorney's Dispute Resolution Program. Unfortunately, Mike Fear couldn't be here. He's usually here. And next year represents 30 years our unit and division has been serving the city. And that's an amazing time. We've done a lot of things in the past 30 years, but the next 30 years is going to be even more important. Most recently, I was invited to speak on a panel at Pepperdine to discuss the future of work in this country. And there's an interesting stat that McKinsey put out. He said 800 million jobs will be displaced by technology in the next 30 years, 800 million jobs. And so the panel, we're all discussing how do you remain relevant? How do people remain important or relevant in an environment that's dominated by technology? And we all agreed that it's those things that make us most human that create the most value even now and in the future. And those things, ironically, are the same things that we teach in mediation and the same tools that we use to resolve disputes, such as compassion, empathy, collaboration, creativity. How do you quantify that? You can't quantify those things. And so I just want to thank the council for creating a day or in a week to appreciate mediation. I want to thank the leadership of City Attorney Mike Feuer and his unwavering support of our unit, and also the countless volunteer mediators who make the program work, and my staff. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Good morning. My name is Alice Chen Smith, and I represent the Association of Southern California Defense Counsel. We, the Defense Bar Organization, love mediation because oftentimes we represent public entities, private businesses, or even individuals once they've been sued. And it's not fun to be a defendant. Mediation is a way to avoid adverse consequences of litigation, such as time, cost, or maybe even negative publicity. It's a way for the parties to achieve a resolution where they mutually agree instead of having to defer to a third party, such as a judge or a jury. And it also saves taxpayer dollars, it saves people from having to serve on jury duty, and all in all, it's a great process that we support. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Angela Reddock Wright. It's good to be here in the council among friends and mentors and to return home to the city of Los Angeles, where I served on the Transportation Commission for a number of years. Today, I am representing the Southern California Mediation Association, where I have the honor of being the president-elect. We were founded in 1989, and we are over 300 mediators strong, both attorney and non-attorney mediators, and we applaud the city of Los Angeles for bringing awareness to a very important function of our society, which is the mediation and resolution of conflict in the workplace, in the business, and in family and other matters. So we applaud you and thank you for bringing attention to this very important issue. Just to highlight very quickly some of our big initiatives as an association, we are working on the certification of mediators to help heighten the professionalism within this already great profession. We are partnering with the courts to help bring back mediation to the courts and to help educate the public around the importance of mediation. And then one of our proudest partnerships is the foundation that we founded, Kids Managing Conflict, where we are in partnership with LAUSD and other school districts to help train kids on conflict resolution and peer mediation. So we look forward to continuing to partner with the city, and thank you for your commitment. And we encourage you that as you take on the many issues, the complex issues that you take on daily, that you think about mediation as a first option for resolving conflict. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm Tammy Jensen. I'm Senior Vice President of Los Angeles County Bar Association, a 12,000-member organization that has long time been a supporter of mediation. We provide fee mediation services where our members volunteer their time to mediate and various other services, and we thank you for your support.
Thank you, everyone, for making Mediation Awareness Week such a success. And it's now my pleasure to present this proclamation declaring Mediation Awareness Week in the city of Los Angeles.
Don't be blocked. Nobody block. Thank you.
And we'll go in the back first.
And Madam President, for the public's edification, there's been a substitute motion for item 34 that's been posted and circulated.
Mr. Clerk, let's go ahead and move on to item number 10. Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you so much. Our colleague Mike Bonin just left the Horseshoe, but he's very involved in this issue. Colleagues, March 31st, oh, he's right here. Thank you, Mike. March 31st is the World Day of Transgender Visibility. And this morning, upstairs in the Bradley Tower, we held a ceremony celebrating a few individuals and elevating the movement in advance of Transgender Day of Visibility. 1 year ago, to increase the visibility of the transgender community, Mr. Bonin and I introduced a motion asking for a report from the city's Transgender Advisory Council. Item 10 is that report that we are hopeful to move forward today. In the current environment that we find ourselves in of hatred, division, scapegoating of historically marginalized people by the Donald Trump administration, it is imperative that the City of Los Angeles act to protect the most misunderstood and marginalized of all of our society and elevate the issues of fairness and equality for everyone. The motion requested the Transgender Advisory Council to report and make recommendations to the Council on issues and topics affecting the transgender community in the City of Los Angeles, including supportive services for the homeless, HIV and AIDS care, job creation opportunities, housing, etc. What we have here is an initial analysis of the issues facing the community, coupled with legislative recommendations aimed at empowering this and creating a more visible transgender community. As with most things in the City of Los Angeles, this report and council vote is setting a standard for other cities to follow. I want to thank the Transgender Advisory Council, the Human Relations Commission, under the umbrella of the Housing and Community Investment Department, the Los Angeles Police and Fire Departments, our AIDS Coordinator's Office, as well as our Chief Legislative Analyst for assisting with the report. Mr. Bonin and I encourage all of you to read the report and its recommendations, because I can guarantee you there is a transgender community in every council district in the City of Los Angeles that are affected by the issues brought up in the report. Now, back briefly to the event that we had this morning, the Bradley Tower. We honored two individuals, neither of whom I think are here with us at the moment, but just to let you know, we honored Shayla Demure and Destin Cortez. A little bit about Destin: works as an HIV testing counselor and health educator for APA-AIT, Asian Pacific organization, working specifically with the transgender community, and started many programs and leadership workforce development for trans individuals, and is a co-founder and co-facilitator of the trans masculine social support space called Toolbox. Shayla is the founder or played a role in shaping many transgender and people of color organizations, including the Unique Women's Coalition, the first Black trans volunteer group in Southern California called A Thanksgiving Dinner. I also want to highlight the work of Lieutenant Jules Sohn of the LAPD. Jules, if you could please stand and be acknowledged. Jules is the liaison, and over the past couple of years, through the leadership of Assistant Chief B. Grimala and Jules and the LAPD, the relationship between the LGBTQ community and the LAPD has never been stronger, and it's moving in the right direction. So I want to thank the work of Jules for your leadership in this effort as well. So what I'd like to do is briefly assemble the panel to speak a little bit today about the issues in the report. So I'd like to invite Transgender Advisory Council Chair Karina Samala. Please step forward and have a seat. And she's going to say a few words. And Abigail Marquez from HCID, please, if you could step forward, share details about the report, its recommendations. And then finally, Justine Gonzalez, Vice President of the Human Relations Commission. And Justine can talk to us about the importance of the work and how it intersects with the trans community. And to kick it off, I would like to invite Chair Karina Samala to say a few words.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Karina Samala, and I want to thank Councilman Mr. Farrell for this effort to bring visibility to the community by collaborating with TAC, the Transgender Advisory Council, HRC, and various departments and officials. I'd also like to thank Councilmember Mike Bonin for being such a strong ally, Ron Galprin, and also as well as Council President Herb Wesson, and the entire council for their leadership and I encourage them to continue to collaborate with the Transgender Advisory Council and the transgender communities in their districts. I'd also like to recognize the members of TAC who are committed and dedicated. Please stand up as I call your names. Maria Roman, no. James Wen, Jasmine Creighton, Terry J, Gia Olias, Alexander Fuller, Tiana Herrera, and Sofia Larios. And all my transgender families who are here, please stand up and be acknowledged. Transgenders in the crowd, please stand up. This day is for us. Today marks the beginning of the Transgender Day of Visibility, a day when we celebrate the unity and resilience of the transgender community and honor our rich history filled with courage, challenges, and triumphs. Today we stand as one, a community united and strong as we take full control of our destiny and assert our rights to live freely and with dignity in this country and city we call home, and preserve our rights and dignity as Angelinos. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for our continued efforts to set an example to other cities in the United States and the world. Although we have much to celebrate as a community, I want all of us to remain aware and vigilant of what is happening around us. We are fortunate to have lived in this city and in the state of California, where we enjoy many legal protections and privileges as transgender people. But we must look beyond our city to understand that many members of the transgender community in other states are facing unprecedented attacks. Today's report will be a milestone for our community in Los Angeles. Finally, I want to continue to engage our elected officials here in Los Angeles and the state of California to continue to uphold the banner of equality and human rights despite tremendous pressure from the federal government and other states. We thank you for providing us a home, a safe place for us to live freely and with dignity as contributing members of society. And we hope that you continue to do so. And beyond that, continue to raise the bar in setting the example of what a truly inclusive and diverse city is all about. Thank you very much.
Good morning, council members. Abigail Marquez with the Housing and Community Investment Department. I too want to thank Councilmember Mitchell Farrell and Councilmember Bonin for introducing this motion and for giving us the opportunity as HSID to work with our Transgender Advisory Council to move forward in providing recommendations that are outlined in the report. As you know, the Housing and Community Investment Department does manage a very diverse portfolio. In addition to overseeing several systems, such as our Domestic Violence Shelter Operations Program, our Family Source Program, we also provide support to 6 of our commissions, work with 60 commissioners on a regular basis to provide advice and guidance to the mayor and council on a number of policy areas. The Transgender Advisory Council was created by the mayor and council in 2016. Under the leadership of Karina Samala, the council works together with the Human Relations Commission to address the discrimination and inequality transgender people continue to face, not just in our city, but of course across the country. Over the past 2 years, the Transgender Advisory Council has been working with a number of city departments, stakeholders, community leaders to develop policy recommendations aimed at addressing the barriers transgender individuals face due to high levels of homelessness, lack of housing, lack of employment and economic mobility, limited or no access to health care, and issues with personal safety. The report before you today represents a significant step forward. It represents ideas turning into action with recommendations that will concretely impact the transgender community. The recommendations also create an opportunity for us as a city to have further dialogue on how we can improve our policies and how we can increase our cultural competency. I do want to highlight 2 of the recommendations that are included in the report. The first is instructing the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, LAHSA, to monitor and record how shelters are complying with the Equal Access Rule, which prohibits discrimination against gender identity and expression, and to report back on its enforcement policies. HCID also serves as a contract administrator to LAHSA, and we will continue to work with LAHSA to ensure that the policy is being enforced, that we're tracking, and that there is that we increase awareness of the process that does exist for people that need to file a complaint if they feel that they're being discriminated. The second recommendation I want to draw your attention to relates to the work with the personnel department and their ability to augment the transgender awareness training, to create new modules that will train individuals that are in public counters, that are interacting with the public on a regular basis, and how they how to better serve our transgender community. If approved, HCID-LA, together with the Human Relations Commission and the Transgender Advisory Council, will report back on the progress made towards implementing these recommendations. Before I turn it over to our Human Relations Commissioner, I really want to underscore the contributions that have been made by our Transgender Advisory Council in partnership with the Human Relations Commission. We're very proud to work alongside with our Transgender Advisory Council members. Thank you for your feedback, for your perspective, for your trust, and for your guidance. This time I will turn it over to Justine Gonzalez with the Human Relations Commission.
Hello, City Council. It's an honor to be here today. The work that the Transgender Advisory Council has done is groundbreaking. We need to have legislative solutions to the structural issues that transgender people face in this city in terms of accessing basic services like housing, employment. I could say, even from my own personal experience, my apologies, that the idea of being out, coming out to even a landlord, figuring out that you're trans, even though we have some of the strongest protections here in California, the navigating those spaces with people who have power and economic power over you, whether that's a boss or a landlord, is incredibly anxiety-provoking, and the community has such a history of discrimination and lack of access to economic resources that we need friends here at City Hall, and it's been amazing to have the support of City Council and the Human Relations Commission, and have leaders like Karina at the forefront, making sure that the folks who need their voices here the most are brought here, that those voices are heard, and that real pain, that real exclusion from economics is addressed. Because as much as the most recent presidential election and federal politics has sort of shaped like a bigger debate, these elements of discrimination have been here, and the community has experienced them for decades. So I just want to thank Karina Samala, thank Abigail Marquez, Councilmember O'Farrell for putting so much time in supporting the on-the-ground efforts of TAC, which really requires that time and money, really, the time and effort to ensure we're getting the services to homeless transgender people, like we do with the Midnight Stroll. And another big point on this, as Abigail mentioned, we need better data. We don't have good enough data to make really strong, concrete legislative proposals that have good numbers behind it. And this is a problem not just here in this city, but across the country. A lot of the data that we use and organizations across the country use comes from the Williams Institute, housed in the UCLA School of Law, and they're an incredible group, but we definitely need the city and other government agencies to better track data of transgender people in order to get where we need to on these structural issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Councilmember Bonin.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. O'Farrell, for your leadership in bringing this motion in and asking me to co-sponsor it with you. And thank you to Abigail for everything HSID is doing. I don't think we can sufficiently underscore how important this work is and how important the work of the Transgender Advisory Council is, and how unique Los Angeles is in doing this. Right now, our politics and the administration, the Oval Office, and Congress are perpetuating nothing short of a series of hate crimes against large segments of the American people. And one of the most ugly and one of the most obvious political hate crime being committed right now by this administration is against our transgender sisters and brothers. And here in Los Angeles, we're sending a different message. And I think the message that Mr. O'Farrell and I and the mayor and our colleagues have continued to try to say, and let me say it very, very explicitly, is that you are part of our family. And we embrace you, and we love you, and we stand with you. And one of the values of the Transgender Advisory Council is for us to be able to hear from you and to be able to ask you how we can be better sisters and brothers to you. So I'm very, very glad for the recommendations before us and the action that's going to be coming. We have a lot of work to do, and I'm very, very proud that we're one of the few cities and the few shining lights that is willing to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Mr. Bonin, for underscoring the heart and soul of the matter. And we hope, we strive for policy that addresses exactly what Mr. Bonin underscored, and that is we need to do it because we're all family, and that's very important. Before I wrap this up, I just want to acknowledge Shayla Demure is here now. Please stand, Shayla. I bragged about you earlier. As one of our honorees this morning, and you all heard all of the great works that Shayla is doing day in and day out with incredible integrity and grace. So congratulations, Shayla. You bet. And this initiative, I think, Ms. Marquez, you underscored it beautifully in terms of what it strives to do. And I didn't want to just generate a report that would look really good. We have something to work with now to actually effectuate policy to bring real change for the first time in an official way. And that's what we are poised to do with the passage of this report. And so, unless there are other speakers, I would like to ask for a unanimous aye vote so we can keep moving in the direction that we have set and the tone, and Mr. Bonin said this, to shine a light. And when we shine that light, the rest of the country will see that, and we will illuminate the hearts and mind of others by our actions. And so, with that, I ask for a unanimous aye vote so we can move this report forward and get working on policies that will make all of us better human beings and how we treat one another. Thank you, colleagues.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you. And so we'll go ahead and, with that, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Right, thank you very much. It passes.
Thank you.
Okay, colleagues, we'll go ahead and take item 28 next, now that the report has been circulated. We'll go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay. And Ms. Martinez, item 34.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. I know there's a number of speakers on item 34, so if we can go ahead and take up our public comment now.
Sure.
Before we take up, yeah.
Herman? So 1 minute on 34. Followed by Ernesto. Ernesto Pantoja next. Kendall. Matt Gaines. Sarah. Whitfong, Brenna Norton, Connor Everetts, Sarah Warzo, Josefina Gutierrez, Gerald Serta, Gary Tobin, Reverend Clarence Moore, and Bruce Resnick. Okay.
We, the taxpayers, disagree that the DWP should participate in any of these community impact statements, which none were submitted. So you falsely lied to the public that there was an impact statement, in which I declare liars. And so, in addition to neither the city administrative officer or the Keebler attorney up there, it does not satisfy the financial analyst's report, because we, the legislative body, we, the people, demand that there is no climate change. Because if there were, not instigating the issue that God hates homosexuality.
Good morning. My name is Kendall Ascension, and I'm part of the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber and business community are long supporters of California Water Fix. It is a critical project that will be the foundation of reliable, safe, and clean water supply for Los Angeles that also balances the ecological needs of the San Joaquin-Sacramento Delta. We are opposed to this motion, and as we look forward to our water future, it is essential that NWD explore the full range of options available to ensure Los Angeles and its residents have water for the next 100 years. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Wiltfong, and I'm with the Los Angeles County Business Federation, also known as BizFed. We are a grassroots alliance of more than 175 business organizations who represent over 390,000 employers with more than 3.5 million employees in LA County. And I am here today to express our support for the California Water Fix and our opposition to this motion. BizFed has been at the table from the beginning to address LA County's water-related concerns. We are promoting stormwater capture and reuse. We have endorsed ocean desalination. We have embraced significant conservation measures. But even with all of this, without the insurance of imported water to backstop all the other measures, we cannot provide the stability and reliability that our economy requires. Even with the City of Los Angeles Sustainable City plan to reduce purchase imports by 50%, Los Angeles will still need to depend on water from the Bay Delta to meet the needs of its residents and businesses in drought years. Thank you.
Good morning, Matthew Gaines. I stand before you today representing business manager Ron Sikorsky and the International Union of Operating Engineers and our 19,000 women and men members. I want to reiterate to the council that our support of the water fix. At the end of the day, we know that the population of Southern California is going to continue to grow, and we know that water is life. Our members stand ready to build water-carrying tunnels, wastewater treatment plants, stormwater capture facilities, and groundwater recharge sites. And thank you for this opportunity to address you.
Good morning, President Pro Tem Englander, council members. My name is Ernesto Pantoja. I'm here on behalf of Sergio Rascon, business manager of Labor's Local 300. Obviously, we're here to speak in favor of Water Fix because we know it's going to create over 100,000 jobs, not just here in Southern California, but for a lot of our brothers and sisters in Northern California. So we ask you that to please take that into consideration moving forward, because this can create a lot of opportunities here to create stormwater capture projects and other local recycling water projects. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Brenna Norton, senior organizer with Food and Water Watch. The LA City Council should move forward with opposing the tunnel tax and rate increase. The costs have increased to LA because agriculture has refused to pay for 45%. So whether one tunnel or two, the costs have dramatically increased. We urge you to stand up vocally and fight to prohibit DWP bills from raising to fund this project. You should be out there saying, heck no, are we going to be bossed around by Metropolitan Water District, and our ratepayers are going to be forced to pay for this project without getting a drop of water. That's the leadership we need from you. Met is going to move to fixed cost, and you're going to be forced to pay for this project, even though you will not get a drop of water. We want to thank you for your leadership, but we also oppose item CI, which would cap Met participation at 47%. That's double what you guys capped it at last year, and Met ignored you. We cannot afford to take on this project to get no water and benefit at the expense of our water system, to fix it and invest in local jobs.
Right, thank you very much.
Councilmember Martinez, we want to thank you for fighting on behalf of low-income LA County residents. LA City can do more than advise MW Board in regards to the tunnels. You can fight this project by opposing funding for these tunnels. We still oppose Measure CI. This is still not enough to protect ratepayers that are having a hard time to pay their property taxes and water bills. Business owners are the ones that are saying yes to these tunnels, because they're not the ones suffering to make ends meet, to try to pay rent, to pay food. Please think about those low-income people. Fight for them. They're the ones that are going to suffer the most. Thank you very much.
Sorry, ma'am, can I get your name again, please, for the record?
My name is Sarah Patricia Hueso.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Good morning, President Council. I'm Gerald Serta. I'm with Social Eco Education, here today to encourage you not to fund California Water Fix, since many questions remain unanswered, financial supporters have not committed, and project design remains fluid. This project is designed to increase water rates and property taxes. Councilmember Martinez, if you truly want to fight for low-income struggling LA residents, you will stand up and fight and refuse to allow DWP to charge us. Let's stand up to MWD. Oppose Measure CI. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gary Tobin. I'm with the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce. It was exciting this morning when I turned on the water and it was there. And it was there because of the LA Aquifer, the State Water Project, the Colorado River Water Project, and all the reservoirs that MWD has built in Southern California over the years. I urge you to vote in opposition to this motion. It ties the hand of the agency that has led the development of water for Southern California, and without them, most of us wouldn't be here. I spent 3 hours yesterday at the public meeting of MWD where they talked about alternative plans. They were not in line with this motion, but that's what they're talking about. This motion would guarantee that the council in the future would oppose the California Water Fix. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary. Connor Everett, Josefina Gutierrez, again, Reverend Clarence Moore, Bruce Resnick, and Daryl Gale, no longer here or wishing to speak.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Gale. I was also at the MWD yesterday. I'm very much opposed to this tunnel project. I think it's very expensive. I really don't think we're going to get the water here in LA, but we're going to have to pay for it. I'm very worried about the what's going to happen to the fisheries and the small farmers in the Delta area, and I really can't see how it's going to bring jobs to the LA area. I would like to see us really working harder on local solutions that would give local jobs and stormwater recharge and cleaning up our aquifer, and I ask the council to really consider more local solutions and not a big, expensive tunnel project. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Blumenfield.
Great, thanks. I just want to say on this, I think we need the water here, and while I support most of what's in this resolution in terms of the report backs, I'm just not comfortable with the automatic opposition. I want to see what the proposals are. So for that reason, I'm going to vote no.
Mr. President, can I now?
Yes, please.
Okay. The item's not being taken up now. I do have the representative from DWP and our ratepayer. But first of all, colleagues, I want to thank you for agreeing to reconsider this item from last week so that we can have a further discussion this afternoon. WaterFix is a very controversial proposal, and MWD is scheduled to take action on April 10th. And because we're going to be going into recess, it would not give us enough time to consider this, the latest proposal, and for the city to provide direction to DWP and our appointees to the MWD board. So I thought it was critical that we have a conversation today and provide direction. Furthermore, I'd like to emphasize that Angelino should not be treated as an ATM. I've also circulated a motion and hope that the council would adopt it so that we can better understand what it means for ratepayers. And I have a couple of questions for our representatives this afternoon. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yes, I'm Richard Harisick. I'm the Senior Assistant General Manager for the City of Los Angeles Department of Water and Power.
DeLon Kwan, Manager Resources Development, LA Department Water and Power.
Fred Pickle, Office of Public Accountability, Ratepayer Advocate.
Thank you, gentlemen. And after I'm done with my questions, we can open it up to our colleagues as well. But as I've said before, the priority for me has always been local water. And how does WaterFix fit into DWP's water resource plans and the mayor's sustainability plan as well?
Sure. So some context of the project and how it does relate to our local project. So the project itself is important in the sense that the State Water Project, as it currently exists, is an important source of water to the City of Los Angeles to meet its reliability needs. And the Delta, which is a significant portion of the source water for the State Water Project, is really under constant threat from earthquakes, floods, rising sea levels, and collapse of its levees. And the Cal WaterFix proposes to reduce those risks and provide environmental protection. But as you said, at the same time, the city is not fixed on imported water providing its water needs. We are proceeding with the mayor's sustainability plan to cut the purchase of water and increase our local supplies. And the way we're going to do that is to increase our participation in water conservation, stormwater capture, which will, by 2040, multiply that by 3 times, multiply by 7 times our current use of recycled water, and remediate our San Fernando Basin. And we've just broken ground on a total of $105 million worth of projects with that. So in a normal year, we utilize all that and will in the future that much more local water along with our local supply from the LA Aqueduct. So in total, the local sources is about 36% of a normal year, 50% from the LA Aqueduct, and very minimally from, in the future, from MWD. The important thing to note, though, is that the State Water Project is still necessary in dry years under those plans. And in a dry year, those numbers really flip. And in a dry year, we will have to receive nearly 50% of our water from the State Water Project.
And so would it make sense at this time for the WaterFix project to move forward, or what's your opinion on that?
So where we were back in October when we met with the council is that there was a twin tunnel project, as they call it. And NWD was committed to 26% of those costs. In February, the state board came out and announced that there would be the project would be developed in 2 stages. The first stage would be a single tunnel, and Metropolitan and the other contractors on the State Water Project would split that cost in their proportional share. What MET is now saying in its meeting yesterday is that there will be a second tunnel that they will finance. So essentially they're going back to the original project. However, they're picking up a larger portion of a single project, and they propose to finance that second tunnel. Now, there are significant remaining questions directly to your question, and we believe that there's a lot more information that needs to be communicated before an informed decision can be made by the city. A second tunnel built by Metropolitan really represents a significant departure in its cost of service policies, and really any decision made should be based on sound and the best available information, and not really by speculation and assumptions of what's going to happen in the future by other agencies. So Our main concerns of whether the project should go forward are based on questions that we still have on financing. There are still questions on the participation of the Joint Powers Authority, the future participations and options and offload agreements between Metropolitan and the other state water project contractors with the federal CVP project participants. There's questions about commitments or guarantees provided by Metropolitan to the City of Los Angeles on what those costs will be coming to the city, the risks of Metropolitan possibly potentially being stranded with that second tunnel as an asset, and the significant financial burden on Metropolitan's ratepayers and obviously significantly to the City of Los Angeles ratepayers due to that increased debt service that they're going to bring on. There's also significant questions obviously with the future governance of the project and questions on the operations and the environment. So it's difficult to say to answer that question because Met hasn't provided those answers.
Mm-hmm. The other question I have is, I remember during the Northridge earthquake, the San Fernando Valley didn't have access to water. And so what would happen in a very dry year, extremely dry year, or in case of another natural disaster? How would we access water in the San Fernando Valley? Would we pump it locally or get it from the Colorado River?
It's a little bit of all. So that if we're going to deal with, let's say, the delta itself collapsed and there was no more water coming down the State Water Project, there is a significant amount of storage on that state water system in San Luis Reservoir, in Castaic locally here, and there's various groundwater banks along and south of the delta. And as you said, we'll also bring water to Los Angeles through the Colorado River supply, which will lessen the demand from the San Fernando Valley. And then obviously we'll have our own LA Aqueduct deliveries and groundwater pumping within the San Fernando Valley. So essentially, it's what happened 3 years ago at the low point of the drought, where there was hardly any water coming south on the State Water Project, and we did exactly as you said. We brought the maximum amount of Colorado River water in, and we pumped the greatest amount of groundwater that we could.
Mm-hmm. And has EWP been having conversations with MWD on our local resources plan? How do you foresee their commitment to support our local water efforts? What's that conversation look like?
So this is one of our most significant points that we want to make with Met, that even if they do go ahead with this project, that there still needs to be a significant increase in supporting local resources programs and water conservation. They are, in their proposed 2-year budget that they'll also be voting on in April, going to bring back the water conservation program and specifically the turf rebate program. And there have a number of other incentive programs as well with that. But we would like to see an increase even more than what they're proposing, and an increase in the local projects programs, because the city has benefited greatly on that, and we can obviously get more from that in the future.
Mm-hmm. I have a few questions for our ratepayer advocate, Mr. Pickle. While investments in water reliability are one thing, subsidizing water from other parts of the state is something completely different. What is the monthly impact that the water fix proposal will have in our ratepayers?
Well, we've had 3 different proposals in front of us in the last 6 months. We did a detailed analysis of the first Twin Tunnel project, and ratepayers were going to see an average cost of $1.78, and costs could range from $1 to $4.30, depending on climate conditions and who paid how much in the negotiation process. Now, with the one tunnel proposal, that number is increased to $1.85 per month on average, and the low end, the numbers have narrowed in because we don't have the uncertainties on negotiation outcomes concerning the Central Valley project. So the range is from slightly less than $1 to about $3.50. And if you go back to the 3-tunnel proposal, or the 2-tunnel proposal, there are still a lot of uncertainties in terms of how much water, or how much of the cost might be recovered under low water conditions by sales to others. So we see an average cost of $2.55 per month per household, and the numbers range from $1 to as high as $550, depending on how much money we recover in excess water sales or how much MWD recovers in surplus water sales.
Okay, Mr. President, I have one more question. I know I'm over time, and then I'm going to wrap up. So if MWD moves forward, what are the funding structures or options that would less burden our ratepayers here in Los Angeles?
So it's a very good question. It's really the heart of the concern here, because if Met takes on this increased debt, and if they finance the Central Valley project, and if they don't get paid back, that's a significant cost that comes back to the city. Typically, Met charges us through a combination of fixed charges and volumetric or commodity charges. So the strategy going forward for the city of Los Angeles should be to oppose any increases in fixed charges, because that would be a disincentive to our local resources program. And really, we need to double down on our local resources program, because by doing that, basically, we provide our own resource and move off of purchases from Met, so that the city of Los Angeles ratepayer can control their bill by purchasing less Met water. And we see that in the numbers that Dr. Pickle gave, that basically over the first 30 years of that project, and by 2040, when our local resources program will be completed, that we can drive down those costs, those initial costs, by 50% to our local ratepayer.
One of the things that remained constant in our analysis was the assessed value being about half of the amount. If the assessed value is decreased, our average costs are expected to go down because of our conservation and local water plans. So I agree on the importance. One battle that's constant in the utility business, be it telephone or power or water, is the allocation of fixed charges, and it's a battle that never stops through the life of the asset. So this is, if we go for the higher capital cost asset, it ups the game in terms of fighting over fixed costs.
Well, members, I can't stress enough how critical it is for MWD to respect our ratepayers when making any decision that impacts that impacts them financially. So with our motion that I've circulated, it just indicates that we have concerns with the conversations of MWD, and that our ratepayers must be respected. So I ask for an aye vote.
Okay, thank you very much. So with that, colleagues, we'll go ahead and open the roll on that item.
Mr. President, pardon me. Given the substitute motion that's been circulated, that's a two-vote item, and the first vote is on whether to accept the substitute.
Right, so we'll go ahead and open the roll.
Just to be clear, I ask for an aye vote on it.
You asked for an aye vote for your own substitute? Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right, you even got the councilman from Winnetka. All right, and with that, we'll go ahead and open the roll on the item, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes,
All
1
right,
no.
And not the councilman from Winnetka on that one. All right, so thank you very much. So with that, that is approved. Thank you. And that's sent forthwith as well. Okay, we have a special quick presentation from Marquise Harris Dawson.
Mr. President and members, I wanted to take a moment during our meeting to acknowledge an employee who has his last day on the council floor today. Mr. Kenneth Chansey joined me about a year ago and helped staff us and move our agenda items forward. Mr. Chansey is a bit of a star. Where'd he go? There he is. Mr. Chansey is a bit of a star. One of our young people who grew up in some of the homeless shelters downtown. We know when Union Rescue Mission was here, they recognized him, and a lot of other folks have as well. Star student at LMU, and definitely a star on the staff of Council District 8. And so we thank him for his service and wish him well out in the world, making lots of money and lots of change.
Well, Kenneth, we're going to miss you. Up here, Kenneth. Mr. Bonin, talking to Kenneth, we're going to miss you, man. I've enjoyed working with you on the floor. Thank you very much for your service. Let's give him another round of applause. We all love working with this guy. Mr. Clerk, can we go ahead and adjourn momentarily our regular council meeting and go into our special, please? Go ahead and call the roll.
Very good, Madam President. Blumenfield, Bona, Buscaino, Cedillo, Engler, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Carrasco, Corian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rodriguez, Rue, Wesson. 10 members present. Madam President, would you also like to send the one item that is in this special meeting forthwith today?
Absolutely, without objection. We have one card for item number 40.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Walsh? Item 40, sir. There's only one card for item number 40 that I have on the screen. Mr. Previn, your name is not on here, sir. You did not. It's not on here. Mr. Walsh, go ahead.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential. This goes way, way back to August 3rd, 2013. That's when, the cops get paid off for allowing people to sell drugs on the boardwalk. This one cop allowed someone to, he allowed this guy to drive onto the boardwalk at 80 to 90 miles an hour, and this is on August 3rd, 2013, and he injured several pedestrians and killed one. And now you're still, this isn't a settlement. You're still fighting over how much? I figure $5 to $6 million. Police corruption.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. That concludes speakers on this item. Sergeants, can you please prepare the room for closed session? Mr. Previn, you did not have a card for this item, sir. You know the rules. I don't have your card for this item. I've already taken up the item. Thank you very much. Sergeants, can you prepare the room for closed session? Thank you.
So many different objects, we don't notice the dangers ahead of us. We're a distracted society. We're blind to the importance of being safe, to the things that really matter. Blind to the things that could actually save our life. We're blind to everything surrounding us. Be aware. Move with care. Watch the road.
incident happens close to my home.
Or near my park.
Alert LA County is a free automated system which sends out information about emergency events via telephone, text, and email. Events may include disasters, evacuations, and safety notices. Register at alert.lacounty.gov.
Alert LA County.
Knowing when you need it most.
Site to sign up for Alert LA County.
Gives me that peace of mind when an incident happens close to my home.
Or near my school.
Alert LA County is a free automated system which sends out information about emergency events via telephone, text, and email. Events may include disasters, evacuations, and safety notices. Register at alert.lacounty.gov.
Alert LA County.
Knowing when you need it most.
So many different objects, we don't notice the dangers ahead of us. We're a distracted society. We're blind to the importance of being safe, to the things that really matter. Blind to the things that could actually save our life. We're blind to everything surrounding us. Be aware. Move with care. Watch the road.
Happens close to my home.
Or near my park.
Alert LA County is a free automated system which sends out information about emergency events via telephone, text, and email. Events may include disasters, evacuations, and safety notices. Register at alert.lacounty.gov.
Alert LA County.
Knowing when you need it most.
Incident happens close to my home.
Or near my school.
Alert LA County is a free automated system which sends out information about emergency events via telephone, text, and email. Events may include disasters, evacuations, and safety notices. Register at alert.lacounty.gov.
Alert LA County.
Knowing when you need it most.
We're a distracted society. We're blind to the importance of being safe, to the things that really matter. Blind to the things that could actually save our life. We're blind to everything surrounding us. Be aware. Move with care. Watch the road.
Gives me that peace of mind when an incident happens close to my home.
Or near my park.
Alert LA County is a free automated system which sends out information about emergency events via telephone, text, and email. Events may include disasters, evacuations, and safety notices. Register at alert.lacounty.gov.
Alert LA County.
Knowing when you need it most.
Alert LA County is a free automated system which sends out information about emergency events via telephone, text, and email. Events may include disasters, evacuations, and safety notices. Register at alert.lacounty.gov.
Alert LA County.
Knowing when you need it most.
distracted society. We're blind to the importance of being safe, to the things that really matter. Blind to the things that could actually save our life. We're blind to everything surrounding us. Be aware. Move with care. Watch the road.
To sign up for Alert LA County.
Gives me that peace of mind when an incident happens close to my home.
Or near my park.
Alert LA County is a free automated system which sends out information about emergency events via telephone, text, and email. Events may include disasters, evacuations, and safety notices. Register at alert.lacounty.gov.
Alert LA County.
Knowing when you need it most.
LA County.
Gives me that peace of mind when an incident happens close to my home.
Or near my school.
Alert LA County is a free automated system which sends out information about emergency events via telephone, text, and email. Events may include disasters, evacuations, and safety notices. Register at alert.lacounty.gov.
Alert LA County.
Knowing when you need it most.
distracted society. We're blind to the importance of being safe, to the things that really matter. Blind to the things that could actually save our life. We're blind to everything surrounding us. Be aware. Move with care. Watch the road.
Peace of mind when an incident happens close to my home.
Or near my park.
Alert LA County is a free automated system which sends out information about emergency events via telephone, text, and email. Events may include disasters, evacuations, and safety notices. Register at alert.lacounty.gov.
Alert LA County.
Knowing when you need it most.
When an incident happens close to my home.
Or near my school.
Alert LA County is a free automated system which sends out information about emergency events via telephone, text, and email. Events may include disasters, evacuations, and safety notices. Register at alert.lacounty.gov.
Alert LA County.
Knowing when you need it most.
Okay, members, let's go ahead and adjourn our special meeting and go back to our regular meeting. Mr. City Clerk? Mr. Walsh, why don't you come on up? I'm going to go ahead and call multiple cards. Mr. Walsh, you've filled out cards for general public comment. Item number 1A, 1B, 1D, 1E. Items 2, 3, 4, 5, 35, 36, and 37. Go ahead, sir.
John Walsh, Legal Counsel Services for the city's multifamily housing bond program. Yeah, well, I'd like to know a little bit more about that. Reward, $25,000, leading to the severe, find out what happened to Pedro Reyes. I want to go for my 1 minute. Miss Nuri, I see a big party being set up here. Who's paying for the party? It's out there in the garden, and I'm telling you, they got a big picture of you in color. It must be cost of several $100s. I'm asking David Goldstein to get off his Jewish ass and find out what's happening here with these parties. Now, I'm telling you right now that Rodriguez doesn't get a party, and Rue doesn't get a party, and Krikorian doesn't get a party, but somehow you get a gigantic birthday party. It shouldn't be that way. And we're talking about, we want to know what's happening here. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. And you're welcome to join us at our women's celebration tonight. You're more than welcome to come. The next speaker is Patricia McAllister. Go ahead, Ms. McAllister. Let me just remind you, you have filled out cards for general public comment. Items 1A, 1B, 1D, 1E, and item 35. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll start with item 1, and happy birthday. Item 1 is about the people with liens on their homes, and like I always say, let's reduce that 250% penalty fee to around 25%, and stop selling these homes to illegal aliens, please. They have no right to own property in this city. I think that because they have most of the homes, that's why blacks and whites are on the street as being homeless. So let's do something about that. Now let's go to number 35. You want the city attorney's office to hire some more lawyers. Now here's the deal. The city attorney's office for the year 2017, 2018, these are just salaries for the city attorney's office. Salary only, $124,399,000. Salaries now. So why are you hiring some outside attorneys to come in and do something about with the bond program? This don't make no sense. Mayor Garcetti, as mayor, you're supposed to monitor these budgets and whatnot, and for you to let the city attorney's office create all of these crimes so they can get money. Let me tell you where the city attorney's office getting this $124 million from. $124 million from the general fund. Then they want the foreclosure registry, $239,000. They get from the neighborhood stabilization program, $88,000. Building and safety department, they get $332,000. They get from the home fund, this is for building affordable housing, they get $177,000. We don't need the city attorney's office to do this. This is wrong, and now you want to hire some outside attorneys here. Kutek, Rock, Hawkins, Squire, Northern Rose. We don't need every Zionist in the country to be on the city's payroll, and I heard that there are about 550 attorneys. That's abuse, and all of these programs are being created so they can fund the city attorney's office. If you're paying $124 million in salaries, what in the heck do you need to do? I used to work for law firms. Okay, this is not necessary.
McAllister, you have your 1 minute for general public comment.
My general public comment is to let people know that we will be having a civil war. This nation has been overthrown by illegal aliens. I did a research on LA County, just LA County, the students, the racial breakup of the students in LA County, 1.5 million. There are 1.5 million students in LA County. Guess how many are illegal aliens? 1.1 million. It's on the web. Guess how many are Latino and Hispanics? 985,000. I have done research throughout California. We have been overthrown, not just in California, across the United States. You can go do Illinois, you can do New York State. We're in trouble, but not really, because these people are concentrated in a certain community. All we got to do is drop some bombs and a few drones, and that's what they're talking about on the web. Just like you go to all different parts of Los Angeles, they have taken over millions, not millions, but thousands of communities throughout this nation. All we have to do is drop a few bombs and a few drones, and they'll start running. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Antonia Ramirez. Are you here? Ms. Ramirez, you filled out cards for items 35, 36, and 37.
I'm
and
sorry,
your general
I'm sorry, can you...
35.
35.
36 and 37, and your general public comment.
Okay. Oh
Go ahead.
They choose 35. God dang. Okay. 35. I'm sorry. No, it was, okay. A twin tunnel. Sorry. No, I didn't sign up for 35. I'm sorry. Could you?
That's what I have you down for, 35, 36, and 37.
What is it? Okay, I did not sign up for 35. I'm sorry. Okay.
That's fine.
35. Okay, one moment. Jesus. Let's be clear. Los Angeles council members, there is no great law firm with ethics and integrity and moral dignity who will provide bond and related legal counsel services for the city's multifamily housing bond program. Attorneys and city attorneys are nothing more than demonic, self-serving crooks and leeches. That's why we have a homeless epidemic. Number 36, I say hell no. Before you do the studies of the Venice local coastal program, first take care of the crime problem. Eradicate the heinous drugs, crack, heroin, the gang epidemic, Chango Latino wetbacks, and the white trash epidemic. This is hurting this country. And number 30, well, I'm done. But again, we are...
You want your general public comment?
Let me do my public comments, yeah.
Okay, general public comment.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't give any money nor donations to Our Lady of Queen of Angels in La Placita, located at 535 North Main Street, Los Angeles, California, 90012. They refuse to help and assist the homeless and destitute people and our beloved United States military veterans. They fail to provide blankets, toiletries, and our morning coffee, lunch. They don't sanitize and disinfect all the bathrooms. Furthermore, the ceramic mural in the quad area of the Virgencita de Guadalupe is filthy, smeared with caca, foul urine smell, and dried up vomit and spewed all over the placita. Yet the parishioners go and pray with a dreadful, foul stench inside and outside the placita. What a disgrace, you freaking hypocrites. Furthermore, we ask ICE to take and deport these wetback social workers and Edgar and Armando who play as security guards. Please, they do create a hostile environment and trash the homeless individuals and grab their personal belongings and unlawfully throw it and discard it out without any remorse or moral conscience. Again, God bless America and Donald Trump and the United States.
Thank you. The next speaker is Herman. Sorry, Mom. Mommy. You filled out cards for items number 1A, 2, 3, 4, 5, 35, 36, and 37, and your general public comment. Go ahead.
So there was no Gruppioni case on the Venice Boardwalk, right? What was the dollar amount? So on item 36 of the motion, we're discussing an offer of a reward. The same reward asked by Gruppioni on the Venice Beach Boardwalk. What does this all mean? It means that we're trying to identify the apprehension, coercion, conviction. May I have your attention, please, God damn it?
Herman, stick to the items.
Fucking faggot. This
Stick
is
to the item. It
why
has nothing to
these
do with the
racial
item.
disparities are driven in part by deficiencies, policies, training, and accountability. Because we subject the approval of our monies, Mr. Mayor Eric Garcetti. I'm on 36, fool. I'm reading the agenda, fool. To provide an offer reward in the amount of only $25,000. Is that all it costs? Is that it? Because people shouldn't surrender like Pedro Reyes for that robbery. You should never surrender to any motherfucker who pulls a gun or a knife on you. Beat the motherfucker up. Second Amendment, defend yourself at all costs. Life, liberty, and justice for all. That's the reason why I objectively and unreasonably note for the record that these so-called rewards are unconstitutional because you don't value life. Where there are no Safe Street Acts implemented in this fucking Constitution. 141-41. Listen, motherfucker, you're not the
Mr.
chair.
Herman, you're not speaking on the topic. If you don't get back on topic, I'm going to escort.
Once again, I'm dealing with rewards. Let me just go to general fucking public comment, motherfuckers. Now that we're including a threat proposed by the city attorney to what? Restrict the speakers to stay on topic? Who the fuck are you, you unreasonable force against people who present little or no threat to anyone other than myself? I'm talking about Jermola, who was threatened by the LAPD not to be the first woman police chief. I am talking about Daniel Buckley, the Superior Court judge who ruled disfavorably against Wayne Spindler, like Carol Goodson, the TROTMU bitches. I am talking about why you can't put Mike Fear behind bars for crimes against humanity. 141-41 Government Code. You continue to bring emotional distress on the homeless, Eric Garcetti, for $1.2 billion on behalf of public interest. Fuck you, Eric Garcetti.
Mr. Herman, you're done.
And by the way, just for the record, the council took no reportable action on item 40 in the special meeting.
Thank you for that. Let's go ahead and take up item 16. There's one card, Mr. Previn. Item 16. You filled out a card for item 16? Yeah. What about the other item? Item 16, there's no other, you didn't fill out anything else for anything else. No. Mr. Previn, 16, are you speaking on 16 or not?
Ms. Martinez, it's Eric Previn from CD2. I signed up on 35 and 16 and several other items, as I do on a regular basis. Your lack of information does not constitute the right to deny someone the opportunity to address the council, for the record. So I would like my time restored right now.
Sir, you filled out cards
And did you
for
show my general
16.
public comment as well?
That is the only card I show for you.
Well, but
Mr.
that's a
Previn.
problem with your system.
Go
I'm not
ahead.
a guy who doesn't
Go
know how to
ahead
sign
and
up.
Your time's
No, I'm going
being
to
spent
protest this
on
and sue
going back
you.
and forth.
You're not allowed to deny the public. I don't even have to use the kiosk. As Krikorian, who's a lawyer, will tell you, as Faubel will tell you, this is a mockery, okay? You're not allowed to do that. And Mr. Englander's proposal in item 16 was a change from the committee meeting where he suggested that money that is not spent in a fiscal year gets, and you're going to have meetings about, that was not on the original item, therefore it did change substantially. You're both in serious trouble. I can't believe it. And it's not cool at all. The public has a right to scrutinize these things. And there's no reason for you to behave this way. Your behavior is intolerable, and you're being put up to it by Justin Wesson. I don't accept that. So I would like my time restored.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Previn. Mr. Previn, you're done. No, you're not having your time restored. Can you please show Mr. Previn? I'm not responsible for filling out your card, sir. You need to, you know the rules, Mr. Previn. Thank you. Let's go ahead and open the roll for item 16. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Let's go ahead and vote on items 2 through 5. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
10 eyes.
Let's go ahead and open the roll on items 35 through 37. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
10 eyes.
Let's go ahead and let's vote on the balance on item number 1. Let's
And
open
Madam
the roll.
President, that's
Sure.
1B and 1E.
Correct. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
10 eyes.
Okay, we have a few general public comment cards left. Ms. Richardson, are you still here? Come on up, ma'am. It'll be Jacqueline Richardson, Brenna Norton, Sarah Patricia Hueso, and Gerald Cerda. Good afternoon, Ms. Richardson. Thank you for your patience.
Surely it's a reasonable request to ask for affordable housing in black neighborhoods that are not penthouses or 3,000 square foot, but have reasonable, comfortable accommodations with reasonable storage space that are close to buses with quick access to jobs and schools. While we're asking, we can ask for parks and also a laundry facility in these public accommodations so people can make sure the children are clean. Surely it is a reasonable request to request reasonable accommodations in black neighborhoods that are comfortable with reasonable storage spaces, close to parks or with parks, and with good laundry facilities. This is a reasonable request.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. I also called Brenna Norton. Brenna Norton is not here. Sarah Patricia Hueso, not here. And Gerald Cerda. Okay, neither of those folks are here. That concludes general public comment. Members, Mr. Clerk, what's before us? What's left on our agenda?
Madam President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
Posted and referred members, are there any announcements? Mr. Bonin.
Transportation Committee will start at 2:15.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Bonin. Sure. Any other announcements? Seeing none, can we all rise for adjourning motions? It's over. We're in adjourning motions, and we can please, Sean. Excuse me, Mr. Previn. Can we please escort Mr. Previn out? He has been disrupting our meeting since the beginning. Mr. Sean, we've been meeting for more than 4 hours.
All right, so
Mr.
right
Herman,
now,
you're out as well. Mr. Previn, please leave our meeting. You've been disrupting our meeting. Mr. Herman?
okay, so at this point we have our meeting being disrupted by Mr. Previn and Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman is shouting, and they're leaving.
Shut.
And Mr. Herman is still shouting. as she
Mr.
goes.
Herman continues to disrupt our meeting as he's making his way out of the building. Goodbye, Mr. Herman. Even my 9-year-old doesn't act that way. If we can all rise for adjourning motions, please, including the members of our public. Mr. O'Farrell, did you have an adjourning motion? Let's just wait till Mr. Herman makes his way out with his shouting and goat noises and every other animal sound that he makes. Is he out? Okay, go ahead, Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, today I ask that we adjourn today's meeting in memory of Janet E. Cunningham. Born in Binghamton, New York, to Hannah Jacobs and William Hughes, the family soon moved to the New Orleans suburb of Metairie, Louisiana. Janet loved all things New Orleans, the people, food, music, and the rich culture. She participated in and documented Mardi Gras celebrations, jazz funerals, and the Mardi Gras Indians. She marched with the Society of St. Anne, known for their elaborate costumes. As a young adult, Janet moved to New York City, participating in the anti-Vietnam War movement, as well as Andy Warhol's Factory. In 1978, Janet relocated to Los Angeles with her son, Beau, and opened the iconic CASH, or Cash, Contemporary Artists Space of Hollywood Club and Gallery in 1981. Serving her famous red beans and rice for $5 and showcasing punk music and art, she parlayed her support of the punk underground and became a casting director, employing many of the artists and musicians who frequented Cash. Her generous spirit gave them shelter, a job, and a meal. Scores of artists and musicians credit Janet with help in their early careers. Her credits include a long list of feature films, Body Double and Ghostbusters, to name a few, as well as several TV series, The Wonder Years, Hill Street Blues, and numerous music videos for Steve Perry, Chicago, and Weird Al Yankovic, among others. In recent years, she returned to her first profession as a landscape designer, using native plants whenever possible. She was also a community leader, serving on the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council some years ago. Janet was Facebook before Facebook, connecting people from her wide network of friends. Her parties were legendary and always open to everyone who could count on her trademark finger sandwiches and deviled eggs. Sadly, Janet lost her battle with cancer in Silver Lake, surrounded by loved ones. We'll always miss her. Laissez le bon temps rouler, as she used to say, let the good times roll in French. Janet Cunningham is survived by her mother, Hannah Cunningham, her siblings, Kay Gillum, Mary Beth Noguez, Fred Cunningham, and Debbie Rubiano. Her son, Beauregard Baker, predeceased her in 1986. Memorial services will be held at the Red Lion Tavern in Silver Lake, 3 p.m. March 31st. And in lieu of flowers, her family asks that donations be made to NewOrleansMusiciansClinic.org. May she rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. Any other adjourning motions? Seeing none, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
People say they love the job. I really love my job. I've been with Princess Cruises almost 30 years. If you ever spend time with me, you'll probably come to realize that I live and breathe Princess Cruises. I came to Princess Cruises back in 1989 up the gangway of the Pacific Princess, the Love Boat, which was the most famous cruise ship at the time because of the TV show. Santa Clarita is where our corporate offices are stationed. It's about an hour away from the port of Los Angeles, which we call home. The amount of people that come through on cruise ships, it really is the heartbeat of the West Coast.